Usamos estampillas posables. Close enough.
You are now tuned in to your number one radio station.
Violent people.
Radio.
And now he's like being like brought back into the company with like video packages. Yeah. Anyways, we should talk about this on the podcast. Who wants to do the thing where the show starts?
Dan, take it away.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at it. I can do it.
I think that's very funny, but I can do it too, whichever.
All right, go for it.
I'm sorry, that one got me.
I
You can do this.
No, I forgot. I said it out loud before you got here, and I forgot what number on. What number? 33. Welcome to Violent People. Welcome to Violent People Radio, episode 33. I'm Dan Rice, and I'm joined by Pat. What's up, Pat?
Hey, what's up, man?
Sam, how's it going?
It's going, Dan. It's going.
And special guest, Joe and Rich of Voices of Wrestling. We couldn't get
what's
them?
up with broads, right? What's up with broads?
Oh wait, Tim of QNTR. I knew it was something.
The thing is, we don't have Chris this week because we told him that Joe Lanza was coming on to discuss Elio del Fishman, and Chris, we think he's coming back next week. He might have quit the show forever.
We'll see. It's very funny because that was a good joke to open up on. I don't know. Did you introduce me? This is Tim of QNTR, This Week in Wrestling.
No, Dan just said Ben instead.
No, I did say Tim of QNTR.
Yeah. I did have a thing that crossed my mind, and I was like, oh, I'll mention it eventually, because I was watching. I saw like a bit of a football was happening, and it was like the Washington sports team, right? You know, like or the Washington football team or whatever, which like sounds weird, but then you're like, there's tons of like soccer teams that are named like that. It's like fucking normal, football Americana or whatever. And then I was thinking about how funny it is that like the Joe Lanza N-word tweet that he did, like, if you remember the lore, the Joe Lanza tweet that has the N-word in it a bunch, he's adding Dylan Hales, which is very funny. And I did at one point message Dylan and be like, you do know that at some point people are going to like make a thing of this where they do the like, don't tell me what he said, tell me why he felt comfortable saying it to you. And I like told Dylan that I was like, you do know that that's going to happen at some point. And obviously it did, but his response was like, I don't care. But it is very funny that like the team that he was saying the N-word about, he was referencing like the idea of the Washington Redskins, like, and that now that's the team that everyone makes fun of how the name is weird because they're the Washington football team. It's nice when stuff goes full circle like that. Either way, I haven't talked about wrestling for a bit, so let's, I'm chomping at the bit. Let's do this.
I would like to say we save most of the slurs talk for the last half where no one listens.
The slurs usually come out when we're promoting articles on the site.
Yeah, not me. I like to get them out in the front.
I do have a wrestling topic to broach for the group before we get into the whole what we've been watching thing, which is Cameron and Jim Jones. Where do we stand?
Oh, I don't understand those words.
Lost me.
Last thing I saw with Jim Jones was like something that felt like he was. Okay, no, the last thing I saw with Jim Jones was like this weird clip where it seemed like he was implying that they bought like the Bad Boy record label name, but I don't know what's like the new news. What's going on?
No, he went off on a podcast interview, basically accusing Cameron of being a dick rider, and saying that he is the one who's been successful for the last 20 years, and Cameron's jealous of him. And meanwhile, Cameron is making like $1 million an episode for It Is What It Is. So I don't think he's jealous of Jim Jones, who still has to record music.
Right. And Jim Jones, here's the thing about Jim Jones. When you say the name Jim Jones, even me, the one who knows what you're talking about, as opposed to these other two honky ass crackers, I did have to for a second go, do you mean Jim Jones, the cult guy?
I thought the Kool-Aid guy.
If you say, when you say Cameron, I don't question who the fuck you're talking about. So that is another score in the point column for Cameron.
Right, and Cameron on one of the latest It Is What It Is, he spent 10 minutes basically telling Jim Jones to fuck off and saying, like, me and Mace and Big L, we had careers going. We already had our rap careers moving. And you were constantly saying, you guys can slide over and hang out at my crib if you want. Basically spent 10 minutes chewing him out, and yet it still gave off the impression that Cameron was really going easy on him and was reluctant to put the boots to this guy that he worked with for so many years.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense, because Jim Jones always felt like a fucking hanger-oner. It's crazy for him to imply that Cameron is a dick rider. When you're talking about I mean, especially now, because the Y2K shit is hot. I don't know if people saw, I just posted recently the picture of someone left a bottle of Hypno in the back of an empty toilet tank on my street, which I thought was pretty cool. But the Y2K shit is hot right now. If Cameron showed back up and all he would have to do is wear a pink fur coat and he could sell out fucking arenas.
Absolutely. I mean, all he has to do is get someone, he still makes records every now and then. All he has to do is get someone to actually mix and master them. Because every time he's made a record for the last 15 years, it sounds like Dan's phone microphone that he's using for this show.
Perfect. Yeah.
This is great that you brought this up, though. Actually, are you guys familiar with Tom McDonald?
Oh hell yeah!
Was he in?
Yeah.
Was he in Dipset?
Yeah.
The white anti-woke rapper that actually used to be a pro player.
And he just made a really sick anti-woke Christmas song. What was it?
Yes.
Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke.
Yes. He is why
Sam,
John Wayne Murdoch. You can't hear me typing.
I can hear Sam typing.
Oh, okay. So I got nothing to type on. He is why John Wayne Murdoch has a new Twitter. I guess John threatened or said he wanted to stab him to death. Got his Twitter deleted.
All right.
Oh, if there's any one wrestler who was going to say that.
So.
Unfortunately, this means that John Wayne Murdoch will now no longer be able to appear on WBD distributed AEW shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my John Wayne Murdoch social media news, is that he wants to murder Tom McDonald, which is pretty fair if you've ever listened to a Tom McDonald song.
It's also pretty fair when you think about the fact that John Wayne Murdoch kind of looks like that Richmond, north of Richmond guy, and they kind of are in the same lane. So it's I definitely get why he's not into it,
I think 5 years from now, John Wayne Murdoch will be the size of Matt Tremont.
Oh, yes. Well,
he's just getting bigger and bigger.
He's not going to get that short. He's not going to. He'll lose a couple inches, but he's not going to get that short. But yes, he will be the same spherical shape for sure.
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of like looking at the Headhunters versus Abdullah the Butcher. That's what we're talking about.
Anyway, speaking of John Wayne Murdoch, I watched some wrestling. I tried to watch the December No Ring Persona Non Grata show. And I got two matches into it before the Chromecast of IWTV to my TV just kept shitting out every 5 seconds. So all I watched was Eric Dillinger versus Dr. Redacted and Tara Zepp versus Malcolm Monroe III. And sometime during Rob... I gave up during Rob Shit's entrance because it just wouldn't play. But so they were in a bar with a single blue tarp on the ground in front of the stage. They were in a bar that had a venue space for bands to play. and they just set up a gym mat in front of the stage and then used the stage to store weapons and plunder. And it's exactly the kind of show you would expect from that kind of setup with this group. Like, if you say, okay, Tara Zepp and Malcolm Monroe III are going to wrestle on a floor in a bar somewhere, it's exactly the show you're going to get. Anyway, so that's the wrestling I watched this week.
Now, this is John Wayne Murdoch's promotion. Is that right?
Yes, this is John Wayne Murdoch's Outlaw Mud Show, based out of Portland.
Didn't
they
it
did
have a ring the first show?
Yeah, the first show had a ring. And then they announced a no-ring show at this bar, which would be then followed by another show with a ring. And then the second show with a ring got delayed all the way to May. So they're doing a bunch of no-ring shows until they can get their ring back together.
This is phenomenal. This is what Circle 6 did in the beginning. As out here in like Los Angeles, at least. I don't know, because I wasn't going to the other shows, but they were like, they would go back and forth between having a ring and not having a ring for shows in Los Angeles. And then Brain Dead, which is, I guess, is like a Hype Beast clothing brand or something. They did the same thing because they were doing like a Brain Dead wrestling shows, and it'd be like sometimes they have a ring and sometimes they don't. I think it's so cool when you're just like, I don't know what I'm fucking showing up to this for. I don't know what I'm gonna see. Are they gonna have a ring? Are they not gonna have a ring? And then
I just think it's awesome to do the no-ring show in a bar where they are serving drinks and food, and I just want like the health inspector to walk in and see like Jimmy Lloyd bleeding everywhere and pieces of fiberglass light tubes in people's drinks.
Yeah, especially like in Los Angeles, right? Because they have rules in Los Angeles that are like, if it's a strip club,
I assume
how
Portland
naked you can get. Oh yeah.
You know, I assume Portland is like just as uptight about, like health issues.
Portland, this might not be a one-to-one comparison because Portland has like a lot more strip clubs, but like I know that like there's rules in California where it's like how naked they can be in the strip club is directly related to how much food they can serve, right? So like the idea that like again, like I said,
so
Portland
you can't have an exposed vagina around the roast beef.
Exactly. People are gonna get confused. It's just not fair. Yeah, that's like that stuff kind of makes sense. Although I think it might actually be the opposite, which I think is even weirder. Is that I think that in California it's like full nude, they can serve full food, and top only they can't serve full food, but they can have a full bar. Either way, this is not what we're here to talk about.
This is like a puzzle from Elden Ring.
Yes. But like I said, I think Portland, they have the most strip clubs per capita. That's like something that they're proud of. Which again, like we talk about fucking woke gone mad. Talk about Portland, Jesus Christ. That's just white people foolishness right there. You're proud about having the most strip clubs. Anyway, so I would assume that their strip club laws are a lot more lax, but pro wrestling is probably Wild West. So I would assume they probably.
I don't think they were wrestling in a strip club though. I think they were just wrestling in like a nightclub.
Yeah, just a regular ass bar.
Well, I brought it up mostly because I'm pretty sure he lives in Kentucky, right? Why does he have a Pacific Northwest wrestling promotion?
God only knows.
Yeah, that's some weird money mark shit happening right there.
There's some weird money mark stuff going on in the Pacific Northwest. It's very interesting. It's producing a mix of solid stuff worth watching and also just absolute garbage that you should just pretend that you don't see. Quick question, Pat. When did Pero start dressing like bisexual Heidenreich?
I think for as long as he's been out as gay Heidenreich.
Okay, because he's like really turned it up, I think, lately. But
yeah, I mean he's in that stable with Richard Holiday, and they had Charles Mason, and so it would be Richard Holiday dressed as a pro wrestler, Charles Mason dressed as like someone on their way to an audition to be a background extra in Succession, and then Pero showing up with just like leather pants and a chain over his.
Right.
And
I
it's
just
like you guys at least need like a T-shirt to unify, or like an armband,
makes
something.
sense. I'm just this black and red gear with the black and red mullet. He just looks extremely, like I said, Heidenreich coated.
He looks to me like to me, he looks a lot like Kenny Omega if you just went into like a WWE video game and like changed his like skull shape and his body shape. Just like took a bicycle pump to all of his proportions.
Sure. Oh yes, he looks like Polish Kenny Omega. I see that. Did anyone else watch wrestling? Yeah, that is actually a pretty good one.
You can go ahead and go next if you want, Tim. What wrestling do you watch? I'm sure it's way more than me and Sam.
I don't necessarily want to go next.
Oh, okay. I don't mind the go. I watched.
I'll go.
Oh, okay.
I'm, you know me, especially because I think you guys will be quick, so I'll go, and that'll fill out time, and then you guys can just do whatever. Because I did watch a ton. We were talking a little bit earlier about Pacific Northwest Money Mark promotions or whatever. This is apropos of nothing because I obviously didn't watch this match because it's not out there for anyone to see, and I wasn't there live in the building. But Boom Pro Wrestling has been running this rivalry between Casey Ferreira, I think is the name, and Evan Rivers. Evan Rivers is interesting because he's kind of like he comes across a lot like Artemis Spencer if Artemis Spencer wasn't like, incredibly talented at everything. It's like the very similar builds, very similar like in a lot of ways athletically, but just Artemis Spencer has just like taken it up to the next level of just being like crazy good at anything. Like if Artie wants to do something, he just can. He's like one of the best high flyers, one of the best fucking jiu-jitsu practitioners, one of the best like grapplers, striking. Everything he does is phenomenal. And Rivers just is kind of like that, but hasn't put it all together yet. But for some reason,
like
Casey. Yes, exactly. Casey Ferreira and Artie or Evan just really like complement each other super well, and they've had like a 3-match series. You can watch 2 of the matches, but you can't watch the 3rd match. Obviously, like I said, it's not out there for anyone to see. But they've had a 3-match series where like the matches have just continued to get better and better. And they just have such a great dynamic with each other that like they balance out because Casey's young and, he's not like a super polished wrestler, but he's got a ton of like personality and charisma and fire, and the crowd just absolutely loves him. I'm just like, check it out because we're doing end of the year voting, and I think the last match happened within the year. It might be like right on the cusp of the new year, but whatever. They've had 2 matches. They've had a rivalry going. Yeah. Right. It's right on time because I think it's a New Year's show. Where like it could be in your conversation for feud of the year. It could at least make it into like the top 3 if you're doing one of those like ballots of like the top 3. I could see putting like their rival because it's been a fucking down year. There's not a lot of good rivalries, right? Not a lot of like good real feuds this year. And this is actually like a really good feud that has like 3 matches. And you could actually talk about it. Like I was thinking about that too, because like good feuds, right? There's not a ton of them. Mad Dog Connolly and Alpha Zoe. They had 1 match that was really good. They had a 2nd match, which I watched this week. So okay, it's part of the episode. It's why I'm talking about it. I'm not just randomly saying stuff. They had their 2nd match, but it was more like an angle. But it's kind of weird because you're like, they were trying really hard to still have a match, even though it wasn't like a match. It was like an angle. It was a no contest that ended really quick, but then they kept doing spots afterwards. I guess technically this was in 2025, so throw it out the window on the idea that you can make this part of the feud of the year because they only had 1 real match in 2024. But the reason why I brought it up is because like they started the feud last year, they brought it back here, and then they're gonna have a 3rd match, and they're gonna have a dog collar match, like coming up pretty soon, and it's like, oh, that could make like the list of feuds rivalry of the year or whatever, but I guess it really can't. But the 2nd angle was really cool.
I thought it was better than the match they had the first time.
Yeah. Like I said, my only issue with it was that like after it was thrown out and it wasn't a match anymore, they still kind of did wrestling moves. You know what I mean? which I think is like a little lame, but it was still really fucking cool, and I liked it a lot. So it was like, I wish that you weren't like, you wanted, because you know how it is, especially I assume I know how it is when you're a wrestler and you're like, oh, I'm getting my gear on, I'm getting out there, I want to do my stuff, because a lot of wrestlers just want to do spots real bad, they love it. That's why they got into wrestling. They like doing spots. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna get out there and do some spots. It's like, no, this was not the time to feel the need to do spots. Like, and it was really fucking good for like what it was. And I just wish that they hadn't like felt the need to shoehorn in doing spots. But that it's a sick rivalry. The dog collar match is gonna kick ass. So maybe we'll talk about it like next year as like a rivalry of the year, because like I said, there's not a ton of good like rivalries to talk about.
I also think that Mad Dog is a guy that progressively gets better at longer he's in a promotion and the crowd gets him more. He's not a guy that, as much as I like him, that he has a lot of stumbles out of the gate where they just don't totally get him, and he doesn't totally act how he normally acts. I don't know if it's jitters or
his
just
stardom debut really didn't work.
Right. Yeah, he's always much better on the second, third, fourth match in a promotion, especially like second, third, fourth match with the same guy. That's why, like I mentioned recently, like his rivalry with Anakin Murphy is sick, because they've wrestled each other for like 5 or 6 years now at this point across like 7 or 8 different promotions. And so they had a match in St. Louis Anarchy recently that was like really fucking good. And it's like, if you don't know, you might think it's like the first time they've ever wrestled each other, but it's been like, they've wrestled each other in a bunch of different places. So,
I've been, speaking, going back to the Pacific Northwest Money Marks for a moment, at least two of those promotions that I can recall on Instagram are booking Anakin Murphy. I think he's coming in for Pacific North Death, and I'm pretty sure he's doing the No Fate show in Vancouver, which is promising to be Canadian ECW. And is probably just going to lose someone a lot of money, just like the real ECW. But Anakin Murphy's there, and the way they promote him is like, have we finally found a wrestler who could kill Anakin Murphy the way he wants to be murdered in the ring? I'm just like, you are promising me shit that is not going to happen.
Right. And it's also not like, that's not the Anakin Murphy character. He's not like looking for someone to kill him.
I mean, that's, it's like they're promoting it as he has a death wish.
Right. The Anakin Murphy character is like, he is like Gary J's young boy. Like, that's the character. He wants to be Gary J, but he's still like just a little guy. He's not trying to be murdered. He's like a little baby that wants to be strong style. Like, that's his
he's
character.
also wearing the exact same ring gear as a member of the Outcasts from AEW.
Right. Yeah. He actually is. He is basically just Paige, and he does have the anal dilator in, because he's straining it because he's trying to make it bigger for you. It's part of the gimmick.
Again, we got an episode title.
Yeah. Again, multiples. We're talking about Pacific Northwest. Might as well stick with it. Pacific Northwest Money Mark Promotions, Defy Wrestling. I watched Defy Blueprint. I watched the entire show. I'm not going to bore you guys with everything that was on it, but I will say there was a 5-way match where the worst wrestler won by doing the most dangerous move to the best wrestler in the match in a way that looked like they almost broke their fucking neck. And the coolest part about it is they did it completely wrong. I'm not trying to protect them. Viva Van was trying to do the Ocean Cyclone suplex on Nicole Matthews, and she didn't hold the wrists. So all she did was pick her up into an electric chair and then drop her down into like a German suplex position, but she did it in a way where she bent her spine, she dropped in 3 different points, it looked fucking nasty, and she got the win off of it. It will always be 100% fuck Viva Van. I know that maybe there's some people who are like, I've seen her wrestle, she doesn't look that bad, and I just watch her and I just think that she's one of the worst wrestlers going. I honestly, I'm pretty staunch. Christian Blake is the worst wrestler going, but I think Viva Van is worse than him. She fucking
Christian,
sucks.
Blake.
Yes. Yes. I I also watched on here Outrunners versus Midnight Heat. If you know either of these teams, then you know exactly how great this match was. It's probably one of the best tag team matches you could watch all year because both of these teams are fucking amazing at what they're doing, which is like old school heel heat, like fucking 80s style tag team versus like insane over the top like neon 80s babyface team. So they are perfect together. It's also funny because is it Magnum, Truth Magnum? No, Turbo Floyd is like a Pacific Northwest guy. So he's known, the Midnight Heat guys since he was a student. So they were like incredibly flawless together. This was perfect. Absolutely recommend at the highest level. The main event was Kenta versus Shaft. This match was very funny. Just because Shaft is just this big bloated piece of shit. At one point, he like had potential. He thought maybe he could do something, but now he sucks so bad. It's very funny. It's like he's basically like the Sandman if the Sandman was never good and had no charisma. That's Shaft. So think about the Sandman if there was never. Yeah, think about the Sandman as being like he's never even slightly good at wrestling, and then also has zero charisma. That's Shaft. And he's wrestling Kenta, and this is what makes the match funny, is that Kenta, the gimmick, the Voices of Wrestling gimmick that like Kenta tries so hard when he's not in New Japan. Like Kenta was like kicking him hard and making stuff like look kind of cool. He wasn't like trying hard. That's the part that they miss, like because Voices of Wrestling people I talked about earlier, they have no concept of nuance. Like they just if they see Kenta kick someone hard, that means he's trying. But it's like, no, man, he's not trying. He's just being reckless and unsafe. So
he just doesn't give a shit about Shaft.
Yeah, it's like this dork who sucks, and he's just kicking him really hard in the face. It's like cool, but that doesn't mean he's like working hard. But the only thing on this show that I would recommend people go out of their way to watch, and I legitimately mean this, I don't mean like just if you have to, but I mean like people should check this out. Los Desperados, Rez, and Gringo Loco, and people know I'm not a fan of Gringo Loco, wrestling Sinner and Saint. This match fucking whipped ass. It was 20 minutes of just high octane kick ass shit, but like the thing about Sinner and Saint is that they can do it. They are I've talked about it in the past, like the concept of like the Young Bucks tag team match, right? I say Machine Guns, Motor City Machine Guns, they invented the style. Young Bucks, they like popularized the style. The Briscoes perfected the style, right? Sinner and Saint, they're taking it to the next level. The Young Bucks style match, Sinner and Saint are doing it, but they're able to like tap into an old school like reality. They're taking the Motor City Machine Guns Young Bucks style tag team match, but they make the like high octane double team spots. They are able to like do them in a way where it looks real. There's times when Sinner and Saint are doing stuff, and I'm just like shocked at how like invested I get into contrived tag team bullshit spots. They do it so well. But I'm like losing my mind. I'm just like, these guys are they're actually in a fight, even though they're doing like, again, like, the Crush Rush or whatever fucking bullshit tag team move thing that they're doing, but they do it. They don't skip. They don't skip the spot. They don't skip the moments that like make the struggle and the fight and the stuff that makes it make sense. Sinner and Saint are amazing. This was like one of the best matches I've seen all year. I know it's like, the 15th, but this is a match that I definitely think people need to go out of their way to watch.
Sinner and Saint tag team of 2024.
Oh, maybe. No, they have a lot of good matches, but Team 200 kg has like a ton of like even more great matches. I probably have them as the tag team of the year.
That's fair.
I know Babu Babu Melt Banana is like a lot of people in their conversation as well. I can't argue with it. I can definitely see that. And then like Speedball and something for me could be tag team of the year. Like just because they're like a highs high kind of team, and like I can't argue with that. But yeah,
but I think their highest high is against Sinner and Saint.
That's fair. I'm not going to argue with that. So, So
my
to me,
tag team of the year is still the Young Bucks because I understood exactly what they were doing by having the bad matches.
The whole time
fucking mark.
you were when you were watching them having their matches, you were shaking your head to let everyone on the bus know that you disapproved.
So straight up, I went to, I can't remember if it was a Dynamite or a Collision show or one of those ones where they taped both of them, but it was when they had that tag team tournament, and one of the matches was, I think, the Young Bucks versus FTR, or maybe it was the Young Bucks versus Pride, but there was something going on where, but there was this guy who was like 2 seats away from me, and he sat with his arms folded through all of these tag team matches. And every time the Young Bucks like got an offensive move in, he like shook his head no. And
yes.
every time the other team got a move in, he nodded his head yes. And he was sitting there with this expression on his face like he was, like a Soviet gymnastics coach. Just, you would think that like he's like watching this like, okay, if the Young Bucks don't win this if the Young Bucks win this worked wrestling match, my family is getting shot. I wish I could watch anything with as much intensity as this guy, but then I also think like that must be hell.
No,
there was a guy at AIW that used to turn his chair around for Tim Donst matches, but it cracked me up because he started doing it, but then Tim Donst started getting involved with like Elgin and Josh Alexander when these guys were going like 30, 40, 45 minutes, and this guy would just sit with his chair facing away from the ring for 30 plus minutes. Like he was committed to it.
I got people started doing that.
I thought you were going to say that like he was conflicted. I thought you were going to say this guy was conflicted because like, he would turn his chair away, but then Michael Elgin's music would hit and he'd be suddenly torn. Yeah. Like, oh God.
What do I do?
I gotta see Big Mike. Yeah. That was actually my initial thought as well, Pat, but I was just going to say anecdotally, I did the same thing with Johnny Gargano when his entrances in PWG, and I got like a whole group of people, like a whole side of the ring, we would just turn around and turn our backs to Johnny Gargano as he came out. So yeah, that was that was fun. I miss those days, I also watched, again, sticking with the Pacific Northwest, Money Mark Promotions. I watched Prestige, Roseland X. I'll jump through this quick. Another banger from Midnight Heat opens the show up. Have to shout out them. Dude, like, I mean, tag team of the year. I don't know. Maybe Midnight Heat. Like, they don't have to be your number one, but they should be on your conversation because they legitimately whip ass in everything they do, and it doesn't matter who they wrestle. Midnight Heat kicks so much ass at what they do. They're so fucking good at it. They're wrestling the Hammer Brothers, who are like kind of a jokey, gimmicky thing from the Pacific Northwest. If they showed up on AEW tomorrow, though, the crowd would go crazy for them, because they have a basic stupid ass gimmick that people like. Whatever. But yeah, that match was so much fucking fun. I would definitely recommend people check that out. Thatcher and Priest -- 2. Under 8-minute, absolute classic banger. Sam, are you still awake? Are you still alive? Check this out because I know this is up your alley. Could be a Hoot of the Year caliber match. Actually, probably put it on the list, and a technical hoot at that. So everyone can appreciate a technical hoot, right? Otherwise, another Sinner and Saint, banger, but not as good. It's the Ultra Powers Amira, the only female wrestler that Dan Rice here on the podcast respects, and Jaden taking on Sinner and Saint, so go out of your way to check that out. The weird part about this one is the Kevin Blackwood versus Masato Tanaka match. It's fine, but people kind of like they are correct in saying that it was the better Masato Tanaka match between this and something, but it was also still not a very good match, so I just feel like that's like damning with faint praise. Either way.
You excited for Tanaka versus Joey Janela?
Not really, because Tanaka sucks. He's old and he's not a very good wrestler. I would not recommend people watch his matches.
He's got Joey Janela there to lift him up.
Sure, that is true. Joey Janela can make something out of nothing. He can spit shine him,
Sorry, is our big top this week talking about the GCW Hammerstein show? Is that what we're doing?
Oh yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm ready.
Little teaser.
Ooh,
I also watched New Japan's Battle in the Valley. Did anyone watch any of this?
I did.
I try not to watch New Japan.
Yeah, Gabe and Ishii.
I'm gonna watch the Zack Sabre Jr. match at some point.
I'd recommend it for
sure. Yeah,
I'm
would
not in a
actually,
hurry.
before I get into this, I meant to save this for Chris. Actually, that's why on my list of things to talk about, I didn't have the next match on there because I was going to save it to let Chris do his Lucha Roundup. I will say I'm very happy that Chris is not here. Chris, we've never done a podcast together, and you know what? Let's keep it that way.
Shit.
But there was Hechicero, and he took on Blue Panther, y'all, and that was it was pretty solid. Did I assume someone on this call watched this? PTO, Pat, this seems like it's up your alley.
I haven't gotten to it yet. It's on the list, but
I was
literally
going to say
in the past week I have watched those 2 matches in the bar in Portland. And right now as we talk, I have YouTube playing on my TV on mute. Demonio Infernal versus Juicy Finale versus DMT Azul.
Hell yeah. Hell
is
yeah.
Sam with you
For my
watching it?
September show in Colorado.
No, but I was going to say Hechicero versus Blue Panther was significantly better than Hechicero versus Zack Sabre Jr. So therefore, if you were on the fence, Blue Panther is better than Zack Sabre Jr.
That's never been a question.
I don't agree, but I don't agree. I'm sorry, but you know I am biased against Lucha.
I mean, maybe if Blue Panther had worked PWG in 2015, you'd be singing a different tune. But
yeah,
that's true. That's true.
Tim hates luchadors as much as I hate women.
That is fair. That also has to do with the fact that
I think it might be down to ageism. He just insulted Masato Tanaka for being an old piece of shit.
No,
and Blue Panther
actually, I think I just
78 years old.
I think I just realized it. It's because I'm in Southern California where Mexicans are taking my job, and Dan is in real estate where women are taking his job.
There it is.
So that fucking makes sense. That checks out. Jesus. All right. Well, you know what? The South will rise. Dan. The Battle in the Valley. You can skip most of it. The craziest fucking thing on this is that they do Gabe Kidd versus Ishii for the strong title. After Gabe Kidd had this like fucking banger that everyone's talking about with Kenny Omega, people are giving it 5 stars, going over the top, saying it's like a fucking all-time great match. They have him go 30-minute draw with Ishii. Ishii! Tomohiro Ishii, right? Is that fucking crazy? Like, is this guy... Do you... Get fucking serious. Like, sir, what is going on with this company? There is no way to get invested with New Japan at this point. They are literally forcing you to not respect them as a company. How are you taking the young guy who's clearly supposed to be the fucking next big thing? He just had this insane buzz of a fucking performance, and you can't have him just beat Ishii in the opening match on this fucking B show in a different country fucking thing? He has to go 30-minute draw? But then it's also the same show where the main event is a junior title match with Desperado versus Ishimori over your fucking main champion wrestling one of the best wrestlers on the planet. Like, how do you take this company seriously? I'm sorry, I did not mean to, like, you know, bring Q&TR conversation onto Voice of the Radio. Yeah. But what the fuck is wrong with New Japan?
I think you're done now. I think we can cut his mic.
It's good having you on, Tim.
Can you imagine sitting down to watch your New Japan show and the first match is Gabe Kidd and Ishii going 30? The first match.
Ishii, number 2 wrestler of 2019, according to the fine people who voted for the We Don't Know Wrestling 100. It's only been 6 years. How much worse do you get?
I think that was one of the ones I voted in, and I think my number 1 that year was like Takeshita or something like that. So I don't know. If, you know, I can't insult people for picking Ishii when I picked like Takeshita or someone.
Yes, you can. Takeshita is better than Ishii.
Not these days.
Takeshita has always been better than Ishii.
Not these days.
Not these days, man.
What is that?
Right.
I don't want these days. I don't want to watch either of them.
Okay.
I'm like Takeshita lost me, man. He's like Matt Riddle, where it's like he used to have something, and now he's just a fucking guy.
Damn.
All the stuff I don't like that he does, he has leaned hard into. And Ishii, I mean, you know, God bless, it's elder abuse, but you know, whatever.
Right. I can't argue with you because I don't have like anything to compare it to on this show, because he had just like a complete snoozer of a nothing match with Kushida on this fucking show, which is just like I would be if this was 2018, I would have like flown out to the valley to go watch this and be so excited to see Kushida versus fucking Takashita. And I would just be losing my fucking mind. And then watching just the most boring, nothing who gives a fuck match ever. And yeah, I would just be completely pissed off. But now at this point, like, obviously I know not to trust New Japan to ever book anything cool. So yeah, so I watch this show so that you don't have to.
It's funny because the Ishii thing is a New Japan thing, not an Ishii thing, because he puts over everyone in AEW. He puts over Luke Jacobs when he's over there.
Right.
Like, he has no problem doing the job. It's just they didn't want Gabe Kidd to win for whatever reason.
Right. Yeah.
I
assume the idea from the booking is just to kind of try and build up both of them in that, they're building up Ishii so that he's not jobbing out to everyone, and they're also building up Gabe Kidd in that, Ishii, the guy who's been kind of the gatekeeper of the main event, couldn't keep him down.
Right.
But it's still a dumb choice.
Yeah,
I could see one of those, like, if someone tried to explain the logic to me on paper, I could probably be like, yeah, I see what you're going for there. But then I'm not going to sit down and watch a 30-minute Gabe Kidd and Tomohiro Ishii draw.
Yeah, they did it a very stupid way, and part of it you could say is like, yeah, they were gonna do like the count out in the TV title match, so you didn't want to do like another fuck finish here. So, but I think you could have switched it, and you could have done the 15-minute time limit in the TV title match, and then done the fuck finish here to keep it under 30 minutes. But what do I fucking know? I'm just an idiot in the stands, right? But yeah, like I do understand what you mean, Pat, where it's like, it does make sense too, because then you can have Ishii as a back pocket challenger for Gabe Kidd if he ever does win a title. Okay, perfect. They can have a good, they can have like a
Dolph
good match.
Ziggler of New Japan. He's
Sure,
like
yeah,
Dolph Ziggler or Kane, where it's like, okay, we've got the new champion. We need someone to, put him over strong, but who people, won't necessarily reject as a title contender, and that's Ishii. Wrestling Observer Hall of Famer Tom Ishii.
Yeah, he did deserve that Hall of Fame thing for just purely based on work and nothing else. He definitely earned it. Even though, like, I do think that Shingo is a worse wrestler right now than Ishii, but I also think that Shingo at his peak was a better worker than Ishii ever was. And I just think it's insane that like Shingo isn't in, but Ishii got in. Either way, that's neither here nor there right now.
Shingo,
real quick,
#1 wrestler of 2019.
Well, there you go. He deserves to be in the Meltzer Hall of Fame.
There we go.
Yeah, he should be.
They should put not to put it on the docket.
Is Shibata in the Hall of Fame?
Medical.
Oh.
They removed his brain.
Oh yeah, obviously he's in the Innovative Brain Removal Surgery Hall of Fame. I just think it's a strange world to have Ishii. If it was up to me, like, I would put Ishii versus Shibata from 2013, the match, in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
That's that bullshit. UFC does that. They'll put fights in the Hall of Fame and then claim the fighters are Hall of Famers. It's very funny.
Classic.
I like that. Yeah. I still think, again, we're talking about like the Meltzer Hall of Fame and how insane it is. Like, to have a Hall of Fame that has Ishii in it but not CM Punk is just it does feel slightly ludicrous to me.
It is a great bit at this point.
Yeah.
It is.
What you gotta think about is that Dave Meltzer's actually created about 7 different Hall of Fames within his Hall of Fame. That's
true. That's true. You make a good point.
Violent people wish we could get the kind of engagement that Dave Meltzer does just by doing this shit.
And he's on his.
Dan, you make that form yet?
At least.
I don't even have
this Find People Hall of Fame thing going.
I don't even have a computer. Why would I be the one to do it?
Come on, excuses.
I think the Hall of Fame should be a physical location.
My house.
I also love that everything about this website is ballot based. Why does everything on Violent People have to have a ballot? It's
everything involves a form.
Anyways,
you gotta fill it out.
Everyone also keep that in mind because the 25 under 25 is coming back. So
Well, it's gotta.
be thinking
There's a whole new
about
match.
I'm the fucking.
that. And also, we're in
Did you see-
2025.
Meltzer had a
2025
whole
is the
list
year of
rookies.
24.
This
Yes.
year we talked about we're doing the 16 under 16, and it's going to
Oh,
get real.
Okay, all right.
I know we're not. No, we're not.
Yeah. We're gonna
Delete,
call
delete,
it
delete.
Chase and Ransom Ward.
We're calling it
The 60 over
strong
60
style
is
16 under
coming back.
16.
Yes.
60 over 60 is coming. We got it.
But
Panthers
okay,
10.
so GCW.
Wait,
GCW. Recent
wait,
GCW
wait.
roundup. Oh, no,
Wait,
go
I
ahead.
need to know, how was the Sumi Sakai retirement match?
It was as bad as every Sumi Sakai match you've ever seen.
Thank you so much for saying that. That warms my heart.
Well, that I'm gonna be. I've seen one good Sumi Sakai match. It was for
Please tell me.
Northeast Wrestling. It was for Northeast Wrestling. I can't remember what year it was. It was in the late 2010s. It was right after Hiromu lost his mask. He was still being billed as Kamitachi. It was after he lost the match, but before he returned to New Japan and joined Los Ingobernables. So I think it was 2016. And it was a tag match of Hiromu and Sumi Sakai versus Mandy Leon and some other person. And the entire match
Jesus Christ.
The entire match was built around Hiromu being a ferocious little pervert trying to bite Mandy Leon on the ass.
I am losing my mind. Do you know who the some other person is?
Who?
David Starr.
Houston Thunder Liger.
Oh, right.
It slipped
I
your
forgot
mind.
he was on that card. It legitimately slipped my mind.
That fucking scrub.
I remember he did a match with Jeff Hardy on that tour.
I scrolled right by it on Cage Match. I was like, wait.
All
That's
I
so
remember
good.
of that match, I drove around watching those, Liger's tour of baseball stadiums of the Northeast. And all I remember of that one match is just Kamitachi trying to forcibly rim Mandy Leon and Sumi Sakai like trying to pull him back and him just like shoving her to the floor. And I was like, if this was Sumi Sakai's gimmick, attempting to stop the heels from sexually harassing people, that'd be a good gimmick. But unfortunately, she's stuck with being a jiu-jitsu practitioner or something.
Stuck with being someone who has an apartment for people to live at.
Being someone who had
been her
first and
gimmick.
last.
Yeah. Her gimmick is someone who.
Hey, that's more than a lot of wrestlers have.
That's true.
Yeah, that's like Alberto Del Rio driving to the fucking ring.
All right. Quick, recent GCW catch up. Pat, you have to help me here. We already kind of talked about it, I think, off air. We open up Sorry Pal. I think that's the first show of the two.
I feel like real fast, Tim. I feel like should me and Tam should we say this for the big top, and me and Sam briefly talk about whatever wrestling we watched?
No, because I got another thing real quick. I just want to say.
Okay.
I just want to ask.
Bring a big top on us.
Yeah, I just want to ask. They open up the thing with like this weird like. Atticus Kogar is getting interviewed by his psychiatrist while he's in jail, but then it turns out he's not in jail. Thing. And he's obsessed with Megan Bain. This was like very fucking weird.
So, GCW, we've already established on previous episodes of VPR that GCW is running an angle in which Charles Mason was put on trial for not murder, but possession of a murder weapon. Which I think they kind of realized after they started the angle that, we can't have him be, we can't have one of our wrestlers get off on murdering people on a technicality. So Charles Mason was found not guilty by way of insanity and then escaped from a psychiatric institution, presumably killing the guards, Hannibal Lecter style. So that's the Charles Mason angle. And now that Atticus Kogar is back, we get vignettes of him in a mental institution, implying that he also escaped from the mental institution, and that's what he was doing instead of just being, a member of 44-0 in various indies. And as far as his obsession with Megan Bain, that is just out of nowhere. She beat him in the Do or Die Royal Rumble, and so I guess now he's obsessed. I don't know.
At the
when he
end of
re-debuted, he attacked Sawyer Wreck, but Sawyer Wreck has decided to go live a quiet life of religious fulfillment, so they can't continue that one.
Number 2 calls Manders. I guess is that how it works? You know how the wife takes your name? Like, if she takes his name in marriage, does she become number 2 called Manders? Either way, the end of the segment.
I think it'd be 1A and 1B.
Okay, so it's 1B called Manders. At the end of the segment, the voice talking to him, that's a psychiatrist, goes like, you've never been in jail. It's always been in your brain. So I think they're trying to. I think GCW, again, as you talked about, they've realized that they should retcon the idea that any of their wrestlers are criminals because of how many of their wrestlers have actually committed crimes, and they're like trying to be like, no, he's not actually in a psychiatric ward. He's just crazy. He's just fun.
In GCW now, he wrestles wearing like an orange inmate jumpsuit.
Right. Because that was another thing I was going to ask about, because towards the end of the show, basically, he shows up randomly and then they transition from one match into his match. And I guess this will be part of the big top, so we can save that part. Otherwise on the show, they're doing like a tag team angle thing with Violence is Forever and Garbage Daddies. They're building up to the main event. It seems okay, I guess. I don't know.
At this point, Violence is Forever spent like 2024 just wandering out to the ring to face 2 random people.
Right.
This angle started at the November mall show in New Jersey, and it's the first concrete and coherent direction that Violence is Forever have had all year.
Right. Well, I mean, part of that is like Kevin Koo has been injured, but it's also just like, it's weird, and it's also especially weird because the commentary is being like, Violence is Forever are one of the longest reigning tag team champions. They're so decorated, and I'm like, have they defended these titles like more than 5 times? Like,
oh yeah.
Like, no, really? They've been defending them a lot?
When GCW was running like 47 shows a week in 2024, that's what I'm saying. Violence is Forever they were booked on a lot of the shows, and they just like find like 2 random people off the street to defend the tag titles against. That's why they never really had an angle going about it. It was just like, okay, who's we're here in
Freak of the Week,
wherever the fuck, Mesa, Arizona. Who are the 2 local guys? Or here, let's put them against like Hunter Drake and other Hunter Drake.
Oh, they've defended them 32 times. Well, yeah, 31 times.
Nice.
They were defending them on like every single show until Kevin Koo got injured. And that was a lot of shows.
There was a time when I watched every Violence is Forever match. There wasn't a period there.
The only match from 2024 I honestly think you should go out of your way to see, and even then it's not a huge recommendation, is them versus Reed Bentley and noted show favorite John Wayne Murdoch, because it was the only match where like they cranked it up a little bit. There were so many matches where it's just like, okay, let's just go out there and play the hits against 2 locals.
The Devil's Rejects?
They were just billed as the Rejects. I think the Devil part was a little too controversial, but that match, they were just throwing glass around. It was at least different.
Yeah.
Dominic Garrini looked like he had been ejected from a car windshield by the end of it.
Nice. That's good stuff. Love Deathmatch Dom. I have to break the law. This is very funny because everyone knows that for like the past 5 or 6 years, it's been against the law for me to talk about Dragon Gate matches. But now it's the first time I'm ever going to do it. And it's the first time anyone's talked about Dragon Gate matches on Violent People Radio. I watched Mochizuki versus Mochizuki Jr. number 2. It was slightly better than the first time they wrestled each other, in the sense that Mochizuki Jr. does not come across like a fucking weird, like, Make-A-Wish child in there dreaming of being a wrestler who doesn't know how to sell and doesn't know how to act like he's in an actual fucking fight. So, if you like that, watch it. I think it's fucking insane. I still think it's insane that there's people who talk about the idea that Mochizuki Jr. deserves to be in your conversation for Wrestler of the Year, because there are literal spots and moments in any of his matches, even to this day, where I watch him and I go like, I think that this might be a student. I think this might be a partially trained backyard wrestler who's being allowed to perform in front of crowds.
I do think.
But as I said,
think if Mochizuki had a gimmick where he was just straight up like, when they do the Dragon Gate thing where the kid gets to come into the ring and like ring the bell.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still did. If Mochizuki just came out and like PK'd the kid, that would be amazing.
That'd be a much better gimmick for what's going on with Mochizuki Jr. If Mochizuki
I think
Jr.
what I'm
was
saying
just
is
a
Dragon
kid.
Gate needs to leave behind their past of monkey abuse and step up to child abuse.
That is correct. The good stuff on this show was Yamato versus Shun Skywalker was very solid. If you can get past Shun, like his fucking noises, I wish someone could tell this guy to stop doing the fucking. It's weird because I get it in the sense that like it makes him very unique. No one does these fucking noises in a match. Like it's, but it
I
gets to a
genuinely
point where
don't
it's
know what
offensive.
you're talking about. So what kind of noises are we talking about? Like
He makes
is he,
like
squeaking like a
braying
mouse?
noises.
Is he making like
Yeah.
sex noises? Or
He sounds like if like a goat that's being executed excruciatingly.
okay,
Have you ever been in that situation? Are you a country boy, Pat?
I am not.
Yeah. If you've
I am
ever been
country boy.
around like a goat in general, he makes braying noises like a goat, and then at times he makes loud pitched versions of the braying noise, which is very similar to a goat, and it's just like it's very fucking hard to listen to. But his wrestling can be good. Like I don't know, they were talking about like the stuff that he did in the King of the Indies tournament. Like he can be an entertaining wrestler. I just wish he wouldn't fucking make these noises throughout the whole match. And then the only actually good match on the show was Dragon Dia versus Naruki Doi. That's the only match that I would actually recommend people go out of their way to watch. I think it's insane if you had Naruki Doi in your conversation of top 10 wrestler of the year for 2024. It really just shows that you're like a hardcore Dragon Gate fucking loyalist, or like for some reason you just don't watch a ton of wrestling, and he's one of the only people that you were
Maybe
following
they
who
really
wrestled outside of Dragon Gate.
Was he in DDT in 2024?
Yeah. He was primarily
Maybe they meant
tagging
to,
with
like,
Toru Owashi.
Yeah, that sounds fucking amazing.
It's pretty good. It is pretty good. You're right. So yeah, before I'm done talking about wrestling that I've watched this week, there is one final match that I was saving just for you, Sam, just to get you involved, because I watched Jake Something defend his DPW world title against Brick Savage. And I know that Brick Savage is a Sam type wrestler. And this match fucking whipped ass. The way that Sam, the way that you talk about Juicy Finau, I wish that you were talking about Brick Savage, because he
unfortunately, Brick Savage isn't as good.
He's great. He is so much better than Juicy Finau at doing a similar thing. Like, this match was so fucking awesome. Like, they beat the piss out of each other. Brick, like, when people talk about how bad the Something versus Tanaka match was, it was just like, it was because of the fact that Something was trying to just be Mike Awesome in a match with Tanaka instead of just being Jake Something in a match with Tanaka. And like the fact that he was trying to eat up Brick Savage, but Brick Savage was so good at like standing up for himself at the right spots and being just this big fucking monster when he needed to. This match whipped fucking ass. I highly recommend everyone check it out. New Texas Pro. It was the DPW title on the line. Brick Savage versus Jake Something. Sam, you haven't seen this yet? You should check it out.
No, I have not. I like Brick Savage. I think Brick Savage is really good. He's not generational talent like Juicy Finau, but he's good.
Brick Savage had a great match at an XPW and Loco Wrestling show against Necro Butcher, where they fought to the outside of the building, and the camera and the crowd could not see them. And the climax of the match was Necro Butcher putting Brick Savage in a chokehold with his thumb pressed to Brick's carotid artery for about 8 minutes. Like they were selling the choke, like Brick Savage, resisting the choke for as long as he could, and they were walking around in it and everything. And I'm just like watching. I'm like, I think he would have been dead about 4 minutes ago. Like I think this is brain death territory.
It fucking rules. Brick Savage fucking rules. Did anyone here see the Brick Savage and Sawyer Rex match? Like one of Sawyer.
Was
It was
that
like
the
first
Death in the
match.
Family one?
Yes, it was like the first match after Sawyer Rex announced that she was retiring. And like it fucking rocked. Like it was like a walk and brawl, but like they're both so charismatic that they just like exuded charisma as they just like wandered around hitting each other like not softly, but just like hitting each other with stuff, and it fucking ruled. Like Brick Savage is so good. I don't understand how you can say Juicy Finale is better than this guy. I'm trying to convert you to something decent, man.
I like him. You don't gotta convince me that he's good. You're just trying to convince me that he's something that he's not. Juicy is one of like a truly sympathetic big man. He is so good. I think Brick Savage looks like a badass, mostly wrestles like a badass, but also like, I mean, he's like 80% of the way there. He's not 100.
Sam, what did you watch this week? I gotta know.
Not much. Have you ever heard of the medical procedural show, The Resident? We're watching that with my wife.
Tell me more.
Spoilers for season 1 that I'm going to get into real quick. If you are a Grey's Anatomy fan, which if you're listening to this podcast, I assume you are. That Grey's Anatomy is a show that really ratchets up to some pretty seismic moments. We got shootings, we got plane crashes, we got a lot going on in Grey's Anatomy. In season 1, The Resident is starting off with a doctor who is killing patients by giving them cancer. It is bananas.
I
can't believe we did this.
Like with like a ray gun or
chemoing them to death.
Wow.
Okay.
It's crazy. I'm in season 2. I'm ready. I'm excited. As far as wrestling goes, that's where I fell down a little bit this week because I don't watch wrestling with my wife. I watch The Resident with my wife. So I did watch Abdullah Kobayashi versus Matt Tremont from GCW earlier in 2024. That has been nominated for Who of the Year. Just kind of spoilers for folks. But also it was an honorable mention on Pat's top 5 matches of GCW piece. I don't think it's very good, folks. I don't think it's very good.
I mean, it's an honorable mention and it's a hoot for me. Basically just for the part where Abdullah Kobayashi gets a metal thing stuck into his head and takes like 3 minutes to pull it out.
I watched it on 1.5 speed, and it was still slow.
Well, yeah, neither of those guys. Those guys make Ishii look like he's fucking Rey Mysterio Jr.
Which breaking news: AEW is doing Ishii versus Okada on Saturday.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Okay, how does that make fucking booking sense? They're both in chaos. What the fuck are we talking about?
I don't think chaos exists anymore. Yeah, I think Okada left Chaos when he left New Japan.
So I did actually tweet that out where I just said like technically based on like whatever, like the fact that Okada is in the Elite means that he is now in the Bullet Club, which is very funny if you think about that in New Japan context.
Oh yeah, you got blocked by like NJPW official now.
Oh my god. And I watched some CMLL matches. The best match I watched was Overno versus Zandokan Jr. from October 26th. Overno, one of the all-time great wrestlers. So effing good. I wish he doesn't have this stint in the 2010s where he's in AAA. But outside of that, just like one of our great wrestlers. Zannigan Jr. is sick as hell. I like that there's a pirate-esque gimmick that is not a Parada wrestler. It's cool.
It's Ray Bucanero.
There we go. Exactly. It's really good. I recommend watching it. It's just kind of a nice, tight title match between the two. That's kind of it. I watched it the Espinge versus Ruggiero match from November 8th. I think both of those wrestlers are not particularly good. I know Ruggiero was in an AEW match against Claudio last year.
He's one of Volador's boys.
Oh, that's all. Yes, I remember that. And that's why he's bad. Okay. You can't help that brain disease. So there you go. Those are my takes of the week.
Sam, did you ever
All
watch
my homies
the
hate Volador.
Truly.
Did you ever watch the Anniversario Faces match this year?
No. It's on the docket, obviously.
I just thought the thing is, I think he's good in that, but I don't want to defend him hard.
Okay. I think it's just like broadly not good.
Yeah. The thing is, he's learning from one of the greatest, his partner Tessa Blanchard.
When you say partner,
when I say partner, I can't remember if they're married or not, but they are
X style.
They are a thing.
They're partners.
Okay.
In
They're
carnal
partners
knowledge.
In carnal knowledge and in knowledge of how to work a wrestling hold.
I mean, a lot of people say that wrestling is the most carnal of knowledges.
They also say it's pretty gay.
Yeah, I would say I would wrestle a man before I would fuck him. What does that mean?
Great question.
I've lost the plot here a little bit.
My point is that he's learning how to wrestle. He's getting great tips on how to wrestle and knowledge and so forth passed to him by Tessa Blanchard, one of the best to ever do it.
That makes sense.
There we go. That makes sense. There we go. Guide us through this, Dan.
I mean, they need to bring her into AEW stable with Saraya, the whole bit.
Let me walk you through this. Tessa only seems to recently date Mexicans, so she cannot be racist. Problem solved. Mm-hmm. Okay. Also, no spoilers, Sam.
Before she dated Mexicans, she was dating Ricochet, which he's black, so that's like triple not racist.
Double not racist, yeah.
No, she's specific. It's specifically misogynoir from Tessa.
Yeah.
Oh. What the fuck? Dan, what were you saying?
What's that, Chris? You need me off the show? Off the No, The Resident, season 4. Oh. It lost me.
The Resident season 4?
I got all the way. I got to season 4 and I was out.
Oh! The way you're describing this, I like it a lot. The way you're saying it had me up until that point, and then it booted me.
I watched the first 3 seasons with no problem, but the 4th one, I was like, I'm done with this shit.
That sounds like some powerful stuff based on everything I've watched in season 1. If there could be a hard out in season 4,
and I believe that the show's still going. I believe.
Can't
confirm
that makes
that.
It tough.
With streaming, I never know if shows are really still on or not.
Right. Well, it was like I was watching The Wire, and then people would be like, "Season 5 is like bad," but it's the last season, so I'm just like, "Well, I'm not gonna stop watching it." Like, why are you even telling me this?
Unfortunately, The Resident is done.
Okay,
that is unfortunate.
I'm sorry.
I got my hopes up.
We will issue a correction on the next episode.
Thank you.
I really enjoy.
Correction needs to be as loud as the slander.
I enjoy people watching HBO Prestige TV 2 decades later.
Oh, like Dynamite.
I just started watching The Sopranos for the very first time.
What?
With my wife, and she fell asleep on episode 2. So that's as far as I'm ever going to get in that show.
I would say don't watch wrestling. Watch that.
Yeah. Instead, we're watching The Resident, a show that really brought you in.
That's The Resident over Sopranos. Fucking rules.
Yeah, I
That's how we
kind
do
of like
it.
that.
I watched a
Don't
little
forget, Malcolm
wrestling.
Jamal Warner.
If you guys like to hear
Malcolm
about
Jamal
it,
Warner is in The Resident. Okay, anyways, continue. I'm done.
I watched a complete show by a promotion called Major League Wrestling.
Ah,
I gotta let you guys know, MLW Kings of Colosseum, pretty fucking good.
I mean, that's the surest bet. Year in, year out.
You start out,
So
you got.
I'm
Are you guys familiar with
I'm
Greg?
Chris,
Go ahead.
but before you get into the show, my offer to you is that next year you take up because I'm not watching, a year of fucking GCW again.
Yes.
Next year,
I
it's
think
on
that's-
you to do the top matches of 2025 of Major League Wrestling with honorable mentions.
I would fucking love to.
They don't.
I
They
think
don't
let's
run
call that
as many
shot. You
shows,
will
yeah.
hopefully have your computer by next January.
Yeah, they run so much fewer shows, and there's so much less wrestling on the shows. Like a lot of this show
Yeah.
had to do with I don't know, Selena De La Renta's husband, baby daddy being kidnapped, and things of that nature. Eric Bischoff is coming back next show, I believe. There's like a lot going on.
Coming back. I love it.
Yeah.
Corey's
Are you guys
really-
familiar with a Gravity Gamble match?
Can't say
Tell me
I am.
more.
It's a ladder match with a bunch of briefcases above the ring. But one of them will have a contract, a la Money in the Bank. But other ones will have weapons,
Is this a
and
fucking
some will have
Feast or
nothing.
Fired ladder match?
This is Feast or Fire.
It's Feast or Fire
This
with
is a
ladders.
Feast or Fired ladder match. This is amazing.
100%.
Eric Bischoff is pretending. Eric Bischoff is pretending that he invented Feast or Fire and he's bringing it to MLW. Oh my god!
The man
this
who brought
fucking
us the
rules.
Elimination Chamber is back
Yes.
with his
What
next
was-
great idea.
What was the fucking match in the San Francisco 49ers Gold Rush match? What was that stipulation in WCW where like each post had a box and one of them was just a signed photo of Scott Hall?
Yeah, that was it. Oh my god. Yeah.
Wrestling is the fucking best. It
Someone
was
call it the
Cruel.
only American art form.
It was Cruel versus Akira versus Brett Ryan Gosselin versus Matt Justice versus Mr. Thomas.
So are you sure
And-
you weren't watching Beyond Wrestling?
No, I definitely wasn't watching
I'm
that.
pretty sure that's just a match from Wrestling Open.
I'm looking. I got the cage match pulled up. It's got a 6.8. That's fucking crazy because I don't give a shit about ladder matches, and this was fun. Mr. Thomas had his working boots on. Matthew Justice got to do Matthew Justice stuff.
So we did a somersault off of a high thing.
100%. Well, so did Mr. Thomas. They were all both of the big boys were.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
pumping
that's
everywhere.
Matthew Justice. It's like you don't even have to pay him if you want him to work a match. You just have to promise him like you can do a somersault off of a 14-foot riser.
Well, they did the gimmick. I wish I would took notes. He opened up the briefcase and it might have been barbed wire. It might have been like a strand of barbed wire or something. And at first he looked sad because he didn't get the title, but then he's like excited because he has barbed wire and like all he wants to do is hurt people. It was a fun time. There was two CMLL offer matches, Averno versus Esfinge versus Mascara Dorada. That was good. That was fun. And then Atlantis and Atlantis Jr. versus Blue Panther and Dark Panther. That was less fun, but it was all right. It existed. There was a women's match that I didn't watch, but they finally got the title off of Janai Kai, so that's something.
That's bad.
But sadly,
the title, she's good.
Sadly, it went to Delmi Exo, so not really an upgrade.
Like I said, Janai Kai should have kept the title.
She is not good in MLW.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't watch her outside of
wanna
Is
MLW.
say-
it
I do
down to her or is it down to quality of opponent?
Probably both, but I mean, a lot of her stuff in MLW is squashes, and I don't even find the squash stuff very good.
Yeah. Do want to give a shout out a previous shout out to Mr. Thomas, my Twitter Mufo. Shout out. That's a bond greater than pretty much anything. Is Mufo follower bond very close.
Don't miss it.
I bought Devastation Corporation a round of beers because during King of Trios they were the only people that came to the bar after the show to watch the UFC fight.
Nice.
Rest of those dorks probably played video games or whatever these kids do. Donovan Dijak versus Kenta. It was under 10 minutes. That's a win.
How did you feel
Matt
about
Riddle-
Kenta effort level?
God.
Did you feel like he was giving
well,
115%?
He cares because he's in MLW. He's got to impress Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Must those
Matt Riddle versus
WCW bookings.
Kojima was the best Matt Riddle match I've seen post WWE.
Incredible.
That's a
The
very
has
low
been
bar.
set.
I'm just letting you guys know.
That is an incredibly low bar, but fair.
I still got to watch
Respectable.
Riddle versus Laredo Kid.
They MLW strapped him up too. They gave Riddle the belt, which I saw coming forever ago. But I also thought that Kojima wouldn't hold the title for 4 years, and I think he's had it. He had it for like 4 years. It felt forever.
I have a really important Riddle related question.
What's that?
So I watched him on the JCW Halloween show, and the
Hold on,
entire
Pat.
time.
Before you finish, I will just say it's like 8.5 uncut.
Fair enough. Not the question though.
Oh shit!
The question I had was, so he's wearing trunks, and you can see around the top and the bottom of the trunks that he's got an entire ass cheek tattooed with a spider web. And as I was watching this match, I just found myself thinking, like, I would give this match 15 million stars if Riddle would just like leave it, go to the back, and put on more covering trunks so I don't have to see his spiderweb ass cheek tattoo. Is the spiderweb ass cheek tattoo still on display in Kings of Colosseum 2025?
I feel like I've noticed it, but I don't remember noticing it in this match.
I also was distracted by he has a tiny little pistol tucked into a garter tattoo now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Looks incredibly stupid, but did not annoy me as much as like, why did this guy has, one tattoo on his upper body and then went straight to like cover my entire ass cheek in spider webs.
I don't know if we should get into this, but are you familiar with his current baby wife? I don't know.
I am, but I still think it's an incredibly dumb tattoo.
Have you seen her tattoo?
Yes.
Okay. All right. There you go.
But I still, I'm not watching her wrestle Satoshi Kojima.
I would.
The gun and the garter belt tattoo is especially funny for me because after finishing The Wire, we have now started watching Deadwood, and it just feels like, guess Matt Riddle is trying to have a tattoo to represent the idea that he would be a prostitute in the Gem Saloon. So that's pretty
he
cool.
Could be a robot from Westworld.
That's true.
Now, not Jim Jones, but Jeffrey Jones is on that show, the pedophile.
Yes, that's true.
And they brought
for a second, you were saying Jeffrey Jones, the pedophile, and my brain went like, wait, the Babushka Baron from fucking Midwest Indies is a pedophile?
But I just love that Deadwood brought him back in like 2020 or whenever they did the fucking movie. They're like, nah, we still need him.
Yeah, that's fine. He's whatever. Sometimes you have to bring the pedophile back.
I mean, it's like we've just spent about 3 hours so far talking about pro wrestling, and we're gonna like make fun of a movie for including a pedophile.
It's true. The top 100
you were just praising Matt Riddle. You were saying Matt Riddle is one of the best
I was just like,
Matt
Riddle's life choices are fucking awesome.
Matt
Riddle, I voted him number 5 on my VP 2010s poll specifically for all of his out of the ring choices.
Yeah. I voted him number 5 best person I've ever met in real life and had Korean barbecue with.
Sam,
I mean, he seems like he would know where to get good Korean barbecue.
What percentage of the 20 of the top 100 VP 2010s has been canceled so far? We've got a lot of them.
Well, I mean, I spoilers, number 1 on the entire list is Jordan Devlin, which is fucked up to me, but I guess that's what people want.
People vote, they vote,
Yeah.
It's a great question.
Anyway,
One I don't know off the top of my head. Was Trauma 1 canceled?
I think it was Trauma. I think it was Trauma 2. I think it was.
Well, does Trauma 1
2.
get canceled via
Yes.
Trauma 2?
I was gonna say, you don't know your brother's doing that?
It's like
Yeah.
I don't care. Again, hearkening back to the statement I said early on in the podcast, even before we recorded, if I don't care what you did, I care why did your brother feel like it was okay telling you he did it.
Well, I mean, it could be like a Tracy Williams situation. He has no idea what's going on with Drew Gulak.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And was Freddie Yehai canceled, or was he just really weird and mostly problematic in a different way?
I think he was mostly problematic, and he just wasn't on people's radars enough anymore to be fully canceled. So much as just like an in-joke now among people who are aware.
Yeah, but Freddie Yehai was always called weird.
Do anything.
Like he was called weird from 2013 on.
He's a backyard wrestler. Which is already weird.
Correct, but like on a whole nother level, because like there are some backyard wrestlers who have turned out to be moderately successful indie wrestlers, or at the very least, like when they get booked and look good, one of the first things you hear about why aren't they booked at more places isn't, well, he's a really weird guy. No one really wants him around because he's kind of weird. Which seems to be the prevailing thought.
The quote from, I guess it was on Wrestling Observer Radio, where Dave Meltzer was talking about Malakai Black being gone from AEW. And he was like, yeah, I've talked to some people backstage. They all think that he's gone and he's not coming back. And the consensus is just like good. And I'm just like, what kind of weirdos is Malakai Black? Like, maybe it's just that he was, like being a negative Nancy bitching about how he wants to go back to NXT or whatever. But I'm also just like, it's Tommy End. I can see him just being a weirdo.
Holy shit, breaking news. Megan Baines on AEW.
Whoa.
What does this mean for Hammerstein?
Take her off.
Oh, well, it means all of a sudden, there are going to be a bunch of people who are like going to start up the whole Megan Bain is a good wrestler talk again. And
yeah,
they're going to be wrong just like before.
I have one more match I want to cover that kind of has to do with canceled wrestlers. There's been a lot of Mike Quackenbush talk, and I watched his match in Alabama last year, but I didn't realize this motherfucker went on a little South America vacation.
Oh, classic!
Yeah, he wrestled in Argentina and Chile. His match for 5 luchas in Chile is not. No, wait, I got the reverse. His match in Argentina is not up yet. But his match for 5 luchas is up. Is that right? Yes, that's the one I watched. Yeah, they both look fairly similar. It's 6-man tags, which is what he wrestled in Alabama too. But the one I watched was Quack, Zach Over and Zatara versus Diego Garate, Maury Parker, and Owen Campos. And first off, I don't know who Owen Campos is, but he rules. He's like a real like chicken shit heel. Him and Quack stuff is awesome in this match. And I guess people got really mad in South America. People tried to bring in Marty Scurll, and they got it canceled. And the same people tried to get the show canceled for Mike Quackenbush, and it didn't work. Show still happened.
So I'm totally expecting like an EMW or AAA border show, like one of the Tijuana promotions, doing the trio of Travis Banks, Marty Scurll, and Mike Quackenbush.
Yes.
And all I can say is fathers literally lock up your daughters.
They named the whole fucking show after him. It's, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Clandestino Maestro de las Thousand Laves. Like they fucking leaned hard into how awesome Mike Quackenbush is. So it was made for me. I loved it.
How has Joey Ryan not gone on this grift yet?
Unfortunately, he's a very bad wrestler to begin with. And I think
he's a bad. The thing about Joey Ryan is that he's a bad wrestler, and he's also very stupid. He's a very stupid man who is bad at wrestling, and that's why he can't make this stuff work for him now.
Is he still working at Disneyland?
But Quack has like the Dexter style sociopathic intelligence.
Right. Yeah. Quack is actually like a good wrestler who's intelligent, which sucks, but he's also intelligent for a wrestler. So it's like the second that I hear him talk, I'm just like, "Ah, man, you dumb as hell." Like when he starts saying stuff, I'm just like, "You're not actually smart. You're very stupid." But I can definitely understand why people think he's not stupid. But Joey is like actually dumb.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever happened
like-
to that? I mean, you might know, Tim. Whatever happened to that Laura James lady? She die or what happened to her?
Laura, no. Oh no. She. That's actually a good question. I've like tried to keep up on her, and I don't know. She's not dead. I know that she's not dead.
That's great to hear.
I don't
That's
know
really
if
good
she's
news.
still in Southern California, if she still has citizenship, or
I was
if she
looking at
decided to move back to UK. But yeah,
yeah, I was looking at old DDT cards the other day, and they did like the world's crazy couple match of Makoto Oishi and his wife, whose name I'm forgetting at the moment, Jushin Liger, I think, versus Joey Ryan and Laura James. And it just was a moment of like, huh, I hope she's not like buried in a basement somewhere.
no, she's alive. She's fine. She got out of there. They got divorced before he got canceled.
Okay.
I just don't know because she was still doing Lucha Vavoom stuff up until recently, and then I don't know if because after Joey got canceled, it turned into a whole big thing, and people were constantly whatever. But I don't know if she left or if she's still in Southern California and she's just done with the wrestling. I don't know beyond that, but I do know that she doesn't wrestle anymore, and it like kind of came from Joey getting canceled.
Well, yeah.
Right. But, she was already they were already divorced before he got canceled, which is very funny to think about. Like
Well, it's down to the trauma primera question of like, how can you be aware of
right.
This guy running he stole PWG's Facebook page, among other generally heinous activities.
Right. He's just a really nasty sack of shit. Speaking of nasty sacks of shit, Dan, did you have any other matches that you saw?
Got him.
No, that's good. That covers it.
All right. What do you guys do next? You guys talk about just like ins and outs.
We plug the articles. Now that we're
about what's going on the site.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sam, what's going on the site?
What's on the site? I'm glad you asked. So first up, we've been rolling out the VP 2010s, the top 100 this week, which has been going swell. We're up to number 81, and then in addition, Pat, you busted out the best game changer wrestling matches of 2024. That is the piece everybody is talking about.
Yeah, like I said, it was 1 year and 900 shows in the making. I watched a lot of fucking Brook Havoc matches to get to this point.
1 year, 900 shows, and Pat only has this article to show for it. We're gonna get you a shirt that says that and says shirt instead of article. I think will be really good for you. And then we have one more piece coming out tomorrow about the giants of wrestling in 2020.
By a new writer, right?
A new writer.
Oh.
See you next tomorrow. We'll promote it in more full next week when it's out and about in the world. But no, plenty of good stuff coming out as of late, and just been a full schedule. It's been nice.
I still got the Brindley Reese thing is still coming. I mistakenly promised that before I had an idea of how I was going to do it. And I'm still working on that one.
Take your time. For your health.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched all that GCW, then jumping right into NXT women's matches. Like, I'm just saying I've been shopping online for guns a lot lately.
Hell yeah.
Well, from what I can tell, from what I can tell from recent like GCW stuff that I've watched, it feels like it's not that huge of a difference between NXT women and GCW. It's like
NXT
very
matches
close.
are much shorter.
That's true. That's true.
Like even like I mentioned Brooke Havoc. Like even Brooke Havoc, who I think has been wrestling for about 3 months, because she's only about 6 months old.
Right.
They put her out there.
We have to give it like
18, they give her like 18-minute matches. And I'm just like, well, I guess that's technically one way to learn, but I shouldn't have to sit through it on every show.
right.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cage Match. It would take you. It looks like it's going to take you well under 2 hours to watch every Brindley Reese match ever.
Right, and the struggle is just like, okay, how do I like find something entertaining to say about this?
Right.
You don't have a lot to say about
not,
Wendy Chu versus Brindley Reese that went a minute 44.
I'm not one of the Segunda Caída guys where like I have some chunk of shrapnel in my brain pressing on a gland that lets me see the matrix code of pro wrestling.
It's honestly not that hard. You just have to like pick out like a early 2000s or 90s indie rock punk band who has like cool songs and just like take a lot of stuff that they do and just repurpose it into whatever you're talking about.
Right. So my
And just
Neutral
be
Milk
like,
Hotel Brindley Reese article has not been going well.
yeah, just be
Comparing
like,
Brindley Reese to Anne Frank has really I think it's kind of a dead end.
it's not going. Oh, fuck. God damn it. All right, well, that's all I got. If you're trying to do the Segunda Caída thing.
I also
The
can't
next
do the
move, I
Q and
guess,
TR thing of like actually caring about the matches.
right. The next move is just to get like kind of nutty with it and just be like, hey, like I was gonna say just be like
Just
weird about it, but
breathe at them.
kind of,
Be like,
let's
hey.
just get sexual. Hey.
I'll
Hello,
rate
lady.
the
Yeah,
scale
start talking about like
a,
libertarians.
how smartly worked is this match on a scale of Joey Ryan to Quack?
That's actually a really good scale.
Oh, I had a huge opportunity to do this. Quack.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right, let's get into the big top.
You're the editor. You can go back in and fucking stick that Quack noise wherever you want.
That's true.
And that's just like Quack did to all those trainees.
He inserted it later?
He stuck that Quack noise wherever he wanted.
Where he felt like it needed to be. So how many people on this call know who bored?
How many people know who what?
Nothing. Move on.
What are you
Leave it
say?
in. Leave it in, but move on.
I didn't hear what you said. I'm terrified. All right. Our big top this week, I'm not really even sure what it is outside of GCW.
Well, we toyed with the idea of Tim just lambasting me for my choices of the 5 best GCW matches of the year, which were all just like death matches and Southern style brawls. And I'm sure that there's some Myron Reed fan out there who's just like, well, what about that guy? And sorry, I just didn't give a shit. But then we also have the big Hammerstein show coming up, and it actually looks sick as hell. Like, I plan to. It is going to be appointment viewing for me. I'm going to sit my white ass down, watch, and listen.
Before we go to Hammerstein, we'll talk about your top 5. We'll talk about your top 3, really.
Yeah. You're making me watch. Did you watch the top 5 matches?
No. Here's why. 2 of them have Effie.
Yes.
Are you putting your foot down?
If they had stuck the landing on Kate. I didn't hear you, Tim. Sorry.
No,
I was busy talking over you.
I'm not putting my foot down. It's hard to motivate myself to find a show.
Dude, if they had stuck the landing on Cage of Survival, there would be 3 matches with it. Like 3 of the top 5 would have been Effie versus Mance Warner. But they fucked up the ending of Cage of Survival, so that I couldn't even name it as an honorable mention.
This is one of the most insane things about GCW right now, especially based on like Pat's list is that if you were going to argue about like Booker of the Year, I would fucking lose my mind if you said Brett Lauderdale. But if you were going to say like most effective Booker of the Year, I could not necessarily argue with you on the idea that Brett was not the most effective Booker, because exactly what Pat is saying here, which is that like this company has been built around like one thing, and the way that they told the story primarily was so like executed so well that like even if I think most of it is dog shit, I can't say that they didn't execute the story that they were trying to do properly, which is like a feud between all of the members, the former members of like the, you know, the second gear crew, like feuding with each other. But there is one thing that I didn't get from this that I do want to talk about, but we can get through it as we talk about like the matches. But it pains me very deeply to say the idea that like Brett deserves credit for anything. But this was actually kind of like if you were doing like, you know, ECW booking or whatever, like, you know, Vince Russo booking, the only thing that matters is the main event. Like they did a pretty good job of actually telling a story through like the feud between these people. The matches and everything else that happens I think sucks, but they did a pretty good job of like telling the story through this.
And I think that, you know, Brett is at his best in a booker when he's just taking the playbook of someone else and just plugging his guy. Because Mance versus Effie is basically Tommy Dreamer versus Raven.
Right, right.
Like that's what it is. Mance is Raven in this, and he's just constantly getting one up on Effie. Effie wins the Cage of Survival match to seemingly end their feud, but by the end of the night, Mance has rat fucked his way into being GCW World Champion. So
It's like,
like
it's part of why it's not as good is just because like Mance is not as smart as Raven, like Scott Levy, the man, because like
right.
Scott Levy was able to like protect himself and make the booking make sense for himself in a way that Mance doesn't. But yeah, I
Mance
completely
is
agree
just
with what
kind
you're
of
saying.
a dumb Southern deathmatch guy, but he's if you're gonna put your world title on a dumb Southern deathmatch guy in GCW, you know, Mance is probably the best option. Also, I mean, you know, even in stuff like the Do or Die Rumble, we talked about it on one of the other VPRs. They just did like a Royal Rumble. Like he just took the bag of tricks from a standard Royal Rumble and said, "Let's use these," and it was much more watchable than any of the clusterfucks. So I think when Brett kind of has that template and he has like Effie can cut a promo, maybe not a great promo, but he can talk without stumbling over his words, or you know, he's better on the mic than Ricochet. That's for fucking sure. Mance, same thing. So, you know, he can put people in positions to succeed and just follow this blueprint of like, this will get people over. This will get people buying tickets to the anniversary show. The second half of the year, he really hasn't had that. And the shows have just drifted and been whatever.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
As far as the other three in the top five, I had already watched them, and my issues there, if we're gonna just go after Pat, is the Cyclope versus Rina Yamashita match. I liked the match. I was just so mad about the finish.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, the finish of that is it's a nightmare. The way that goes is fucking incredibly offensive.
On the other hand, there was some
booking wrestling for like mentally handicapped people. It is fucking the fuck happens there? Anyway, sorry.
Well, I mean, you know, Miedo Extremo, he's like by the time he turned on Cyclope, he was pretty much wrestling with one arm. Like he was lagging behind Cyclope so bad in the tag team matches. Like he was clearly hurting. So I assume he has been disappeared and only appeared to do stuff like hit Cyclope on the head with a chair because he's been like off getting surgery or rehabbing his shoulder or something. But yeah, the ending sucked, but I thought that the rest of the match was good enough to power past it.
And talking about the booking, yeah, like he is injured, so then there is just I don't know. Is there anything after that? Does Miedo Extremo wrestle for GCW after that match?
No. I don't think he's been back
Is
at all.
there? Well, it's the booking on that is absolutely infuriating because yes, like they're having a really good match and then they just have this guy show up and he whips everyone's ass and he's injured.
It was his first appearance in I think 2.5 months.
Right. Why did he kick everyone's ass? Like that's.
They did the Rockers breakup. Miedo threw Ciclope through the barbershop window. They lost a match to Brandon Kirk and Casey Cattell at the anniversary weekend, and they had been doing the bit for months prior, where it's like they were just not on the same page. Like they were doing the as listeners of VPR would understand it in terms of they were doing the Anthony Bowens and Max Caster thing, where they're just not clicking anymore, getting frustrated with one another. And at the end of it, I can't remember if he. So I think what happened was at the anniversary show, Miedo Extremo turned on Ciclope and beat his ass. And then they booked a match between the two for September. And Miedo came out and just said, like, I'm not fighting you. Fuck the fans. I quit. And then he came out a month and a half later and killed everyone with chair shots.
And then that match has the problem that all my GCW viewing has, which apparently I'm a known women hater, but I don't understand why Yamashita is not the focal point of that promotion.
Right.
Probably because she has to go to Japan every few months.
I feel like she's on all the shows, though. Am I wrong?
She wasn't on. Like, after that match, I think she went back to Japan for a few months because she was on like Freedom shows and PP Tokyo and stuff. I mean, they built around Maki Ito so much, and then Ito was in Japan so much with her Tokyo Joshi commitments. And then, like, also getting injured seemingly every week, that, like, it's a good thing that they're probably taking the Extreme title off of her.
Yeah. A bit of a jump-off point on this would be Manders. And maybe it's close enough for time for people to pay attention to this, but like you have Manders on multiple of the your top 5 matches.
Him versus Rina Yamashita and him versus Mance Warner.
Yeah. And like beyond that, I would say Manders has like a ton of like actually good matches that don't involve GCW. Like Manders might be in the conversation, the wrestler of the year conversation, right? And I think that like this GCW like best of the year stuff like just kind of makes that more shining because I'm sure he had a ton of great matches in GCW outside of just the stuff that's on this list. Right? Like Pat, would you say that Manders has better or not better, but he has other matches as well as these two?
Well, let's look up my GCW spreadsheet where I watched every fucking godforsaken stupid ass match. Let's type in Manders. See what.
This is like a brief little aside. You still around? Did you?
I'm here.
Did you know that Nick Ando wrestled on the GCW show in Rochester?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he does all the Rochester shows.
I didn't realize
Nick Ando,
that.
Cloudy, Cheech, and Colin Delaney. They all
good. I watched it. I said that I watched that show. I watched that match. It was solid.
How far away from you are you from Rochester, Sam?
Hour 20.
So it's like we both are about a little over an hour away from the 2 GCW shows this year, and neither of us made it. Damn.
I bought tickets and everything.
So one called Manders actually
did.
This
one?
No, not this not the coming one.
I thought you did 2 shows in a row. I'm like, okay, that's your fault.
The coming one that happened 5 days ago.
Yeah. Happened 5 days ago? Yeah, see that adds up. That's up.
So at GCW No Sleep 2024, Brick Savage and one called Manders did have a singles match, but apparently you know, apparently I didn't think it was especially great because I just gave it an average rating.
Okay.
But I'm clicking through it, and Manders, you know, they put him in good opponents, but he was treated as a mid card guy in GCW. Like he did a lot of tag matches. He did a lot of like multi-man things. You know, it seems like for most of the year, GCW kind of treated him as a good hand. You know, he had a match with Zilla Fatu that was fun. He had a match with Broski Jimmy that was fun. But, you know, then it's like him versus Ocean Avery. And it's like, okay, that's just filling time. Or Jinder Mahal and the Bollywood Boys versus Manders, Effie, and Dark Sheik, which is like,
that sounds
you
sick.
know, sure.
It actually sounds sick.
It wasn't. It should have been sick, but it wasn't.
And unless he's the surprise Matt Cardona opponent, he's not even on the Hammerstein show.
We should check and see
complete
if he's
horseshit.
Which it's really funny because there's so many matches on the show.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what PCO is going to do, what Sabu is going to do. Like, are they going to be quote unquote, you know, quote in action unquote by just like running in and like braining someone with a chair?
Yeah, because it's already 12 matches.
Like a rumble.
Well, here's the most painful thing of watching all that GCW is that every show was at least 9 matches, and generally either 10 or 11 matches. 9 matches was like I would see a show only had 9 matches, and I was like, oh, phew, this one's a short one.
I'd like to read a quote from Brett Lauderdale real quick, based on the upcoming Hammerstein Ballroom show. The numbers today, whether one person watches the show on Triller or not, the numbers they're okay. I never talk business or real numbers, but I can tell you, the gate of this show, the ticket sales, I know everybody thinks, oh, they gave away X amount of tickets. There's a couple of tickets given away, but I can tell you that the gate for this show is in 6 figures. There's over $100,000 worth of tickets sold, which is more than any independent wrestling show will sell this year, next year, last year, the year before, 5 years from now, the year after. So will this show be as successful as 2021 from a business standpoint? No, because that would be virtually impossible. But I can tell you, this is a history-making show in its own right. I love this. I love that this is not going to be as successful as last time, and I don't think that show looked all that great.
But it did have the EW guys to juice the sales.
I love this.
It had the Jeff Jarrett bump last time.
It did. That is so real. Wish they brought him back.
Well, you can thank Effie for that one.
Oh, he's too busy winning the AEW World Championship to come back for this kind of bullshit.
Too busy wrestling MJF.
Yeah, MJF, the top of the heap.
That's like putting Gabe Kidd against Ishii. You know, you got to elevate them both.
Gabe Kidd already announced for the 2025 J Cup.
Yeah, it's going to be.
I'm excited for that.
What do you mean already? Isn't there like a full?
They don't have the bracket yet. They've been announcing names, so they've got a partial list of names.
Yeah, I think he just got announced. I don't think he's announced that long ago.
I
didn't realize, Pat, till you said that there are there's 12 matches, but there are a lot of people that don't have matches. They got Ricky Morton, Sabu, Violent J, Brooke Havoc, Zeta Steel. Like there are tons of people they got to do something like that.
Yeah.
I hope they add them all to the tables, ladders, and chairs match.
Is there a Blake Christian match?
Make it a 20. Yeah, Blake. So Blake Christian, I don't know what the status is with his spooky gimmick anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't have a match on this show.
Yeah, well, good.
Continue.
No, I was just saying at the Royal Rumble thing they did what's his name? Young guy, something Finn. Justin Finn did the Maven and Undertaker thing with Blake Christian by throwing Blake Christian out.
That's good.
Just like, yeah, okay, sure.
No, why not? Pat, when did they stop doing JCW shows? Because it feels like
I feel like they do them every time they're in Jersey, or
that's
most of
it,
the time
right?
they're
Like,
because they did one before the anniversary weekend. They did one, like they were doing them every couple months, but they seem to coincide with when they were doing like like doubleheader weekends in one location.
yeah, it felt like they were doing them like they were like it was normal and they were running it, and then now it felt like it fell off to the point where like I wouldn't be shocked if they don't just stop with the JCW thing, even though they're still doing the J Cup. I just which it plays into the stuff that they say about AEW and ROH, right? Like, why do you have like this sub brand that doesn't draw as much? Like, there's no reason for it. You might as well just run those shows and call them GCW.
You have to highlight Mr. Danger somewhere.
Right. Of course. So yeah. Manders and Yamashita was probably out of your top 5 list. I would say it was probably one of the better matches.
I mean, I should specify for everyone. When I do my top 5 list, I'm not out there saying like this is definitively the top. Like all of this is filtered through my own personal taste. I love seeing bloodbaths and poorly worked deathmatch wrestling. I love that a lot more than quote unquote good wrestling.
So let's talk about the
and
FE.
I think there are a lot of people where if you said like what are your top 5 GCW matches, people would just list Bloodsport.
Right. And they would not be wrong. They would be correct. They would just list like me when you said everyone else give their top 5 Bloodsport matches. You know what I did? I looked it up and I saw how many matches did Royce Isaacs have in GCW this year, and he had 4 matches, all of which were in Bloodsport, and that would be my top 5 matches in GCW this year, right? So yeah, so again, Sam, what were you saying?
Where was Juicy Finale versus Bobby Flacco? That's all I could think about.
Number 6. Yeah. Sadly, that was number 6.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I was right out. So number 3, I think we're at number 3 match of the year. It's one that Dan didn't watch, so unfortunately, it's just between me and you, Pat. Effie versus Manser in an I Quit match. Joey Janela Spring Break number 8.
Yep, this was where the storyline really kicked into high gear for these two because they had been doing bloodbaths with one another. And I'm going to say, if anyone out there is actually compelled to go watch Effie versus Manser, they're not like solid matches. The work rate sucks. It's mostly just the two of them bleeding like crazy and donking each other on the head with shit, or doing suplexes in such a way that it suggests that they were trained wrong as a joke. But I find that stuff really compelling because the two of them have a freakish chemistry between them when they're doing this stuff that if you watch Effie versus Jinder Mahal, it just isn't there.
Right. Yeah, and like, so number 3 here, it's, obviously number 1 is the number 1 match that you put is also Effie and Mance, and it's like, this one's later. That one has an ending that feels more definitive for the storyline, whatever. There is also like part of this with the whole thing, which is playing off of this, like, Mance has a title shot in his back pocket. The commentary keeps talking about it. Blah, 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 all of that. Part of the question that I want to ask you, and I guess this is the place to do it, as someone who's watched everything, because before we get to the end of the year, before we get to the Hammerstein show that's coming up, we're now at a point where this feud has transitioned into Effie versus Alley Catch as being like part of the feud. And at this point, though, we're like even on this match, like part of the story is the drama that like Alley Catch and Effie are still together against Mance. And
right. This one's an I Quit match for anyone. So for anyone who didn't watch it, this is an I Quit match, and the ending of it is Effie is zip tied to the ropes, and Mance is bashing him in the head with shit, giving him, just general brain disease, and he still won't quit. And Allie Katch runs to the ring to try and stop Mance from further abusing her best friend Effie. And Mance, because she's Allie Katch, obviously Mance just puts her in a headlock, gets an electric drill, and tells Effie, like, you quit right now or I'm going to drill her on the fucking head, which we know is not a hollow threat because Manson did that to Effie in the number one match of the year that they had a month prior. So Effie quits and Manson drills her anyway, and that is what leads to the two of them having a Cage of Survival match. Allie Katch disappeared from the promotion for like 2 months in August, for God knows what reason. And
she got drilled in the head.
Yeah, well, no, because she got drilled in the head and then she wrestled for 4 more months and then she went away. And then she came back and turned on Effie in the War Games match, which definitively is not in my top 5 matches of the year. But she turned on Effie and said that, the issue was that she was out for 2 months and Effie didn't once check on her. It felt very it was very much a Rikishi I did it for the people style heel turn.
Yeah.
In that it was not very effective. No one liked it very much, and the person doing it had a huge ass.
Yeah, it's not necessary in the context, right? It's like, why would you do that when you already have like a much bigger context storyline of what's going on here?
I think part of it is just that Effie and Allie want to do this, and like Brett is like, yeah, let's try it.
But it absolutely confuses the storyline because you have like a pretty good storyline with Effie and Mance. They have good chemistry with each other wrestling wise.
This I would say this phase of the storyline where all the cool stuff is happening ended in June. With Cage of Survival, where they did the Cage of Survival match. It is such a bloodbath that Effie, by the end of it, looks like he is a racist Cleveland Indians mascot. He is so covered in blood. Mance also bleeding. The problem with it is just that the ending of the match required so much contraption setting up that for the final spot, the two of them are standing in a superplex position, waiting to go for like 2 minutes while the referee is failing to light a contraption on fire. That sort of stuff just cut the ankles out of the match. But that is where like the good part of the feud ended. And then they drifted apart to their corners. Mance was being champion for a while. Effie went to feud with Jinder Mahal. And it's gotten confused in that time because it lost all its momentum. They kind of hit the pause button and then started to pick it back up again with the Allie Katch heel turn, but it just hasn't been as laser focused.
No. Shockingly. I guess number 2 on your match of the year list is Ciclope versus Rino Yamashita. We kind of talked about it earlier with the bad finish, but it is the only match on the show that I was live in attendance for. Because I do honestly still go to most GCW LA shows. And this was one where I just we've already talked about it. The finish was fucking obnoxious.
You know what was almost an honorable mention? It was on my long list for honorable mentions, but the Chavo match. I really like that match.
Oh yeah. Chavo always brings it, honestly. It's was annoying like having Chavo there. I kind of dislike him, yeah.
But having Chavo there was kind of what I was talking about earlier, where Brett does really well when he has like a kit to build his feud out of, where he just has to plug in like wrestler A and wrestler B and say like, okay, this thing always works. It's like Wally Wood's 21 panel compositions that always work for illustrators. With Chavo, like Chavo was clearly like, okay, I know how a match works. This is how we're gonna fucking do it. Jack Cartwheel, you can take your ideas and fucking go to hell. and it worked. It was great. It would. You could have taken that match and put it on like SmackDown or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. That you are completely correct. But yeah, this match was a fucking nightmare. Like the match was really good, but the finish was just so obnoxious. Like it really was. I get where you're coming from with the way that you rated it, but
Also, I sat through the entire year of storylines leading up to it. If
right,
you were just like,
right,
like I'm just going to the wrestling this afternoon, and then you had no idea what was
right.
going on. You had no idea who Miedo Extrema was, or that Los Macizos had even broken up. Yeah.
Right. And then, so give your story for the number one, because as we talked about earlier, like this is not the culmination of the feud. This is not like
This is, I think, emotion
why is
wise,
this the
Cage of
best match? Yeah.
Survival. I think it was just the most entertaining. Like straight up, I tried to consider it mostly like bell to bell because in the spirit of like the BP 100, we're not rating like best talker.
Right. And this
But
is early on. This is early on in the
this
idea that this
yeah,
is happening. Yeah.
I would say this is the match where it starts going from like old friends who are pissed at each other to flat out blood feud.
Right.
In part because this is the match where, for example, Mance uses an electric drill on
Right.
Effie's head.
Which
The two
becomes
of
a
them
big
just
part of this whole feud.
yeah, the two of them just are throwing each other around with absolutely reckless abandon. I mentioned in the article, the match pretty much starts with Effie doing a burning hammer and a bad burning hammer, which,
Right. Of course.
if you can imagine doing a burning hammer poorly, that looks like it kills someone, and it looked like it fucking killed Mance Warner. They do a muscle buster at one point. Same thing. They are throwing each other into the crowd.
Yeah.
They're breaking shit over each other. Like this is the kind of reckless Southern brawl that if it was, Fishman and Sagrada, no one would question like this match fucking owns. But Effie's in it, so no one likes it.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And especially like part of it is that like it has that new energy, it has that fresh vibe. As we were talking about early on, this is not a blood feud, this is like a transition between the two, and that's kind of the most novel and most interesting part of it. It's still
I also think
fresh,
that
it's
the
still
the ending
exciting.
angle of it is one that was it almost feels novel by wrestling standards, which is the idea that Mance had isolated himself. He had turned on the second gear crew. He hadn't hooked up with Deathmatch Royalty yet. He was just out there, solo, being a psycho, and he beat the shit out of Effie so badly that Effie's friends rushed out to defend him. It was like
Right.
the joke that people always make when like a heel stable is, stomping someone out, and it's like, okay, so no one in the back wants to come out and save John Cena.
Right.
In this
Yeah.
case, it was just, two guys, but the people from the back did rush out to save Effie from Mance Warner, and it, kind of established the stakes of like, okay, Effie has friends. Effie has people who care about him. Mance could have been one of those people, but he chose to throw it all away, and in doing so, he threw away everyone else's support of him too.
Yeah, it was actually executed really well. Like big picture wise, the story was done. I hate saying this because again, it's GCW, it's Brett.
This
We're
was
talking
this
about
was the
this, but
trap of the show. I just wanted to trick you guys into
yeah,
praising Brett Lauderdale.
yeah. I think it was done really fucking well. It sucks that there's so much garbage around it because this could be a really good, entertaining storyline from top to bottom, but there is a ton of bullshit mixed in with it. Um, but yeah. Anyways, um, I don't know if there's any other thoughts from Sam or Dan or whatever about this whole
Well, I want to know what Pat thinks is
GCW.
going to happen at Hammerstein. Does Effie win it all?
I think it's wrestling, so it's 50-50 that we get the triumphant Effie victory and he wins it all, or they try to go for more heat and have Mance stomp him out. But
Fair.
I think this is going to be, if they have a chance to do kind of the Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 moment for Effie, like this is their only chance to do it.
Yeah, they have to.
They're not going to
They really do.
magically heat the promotion up again.
I like that they're gonna merge the Extreme title and the
it's
Ultraviolet title.
It's less of a Daniel Bryan moment. It's more of an Eric Young moment.
Oh, the great Eric Young moment.
But yes, I agree that they should merge those two fucking titles. They're both pretty much useless.
Well, they are merging them in the 8-man ladder match.
I'm saying.
Oh yeah. What do we all think about Josh Barnett versus what's his real name? Tom Pestock.
Tom Pestock.
Yeah. I think that's gonna fucking rock. Yeah.
I want to see that shit. I want to see him throwing hands at Barnett. Like I want to see that, especially because that crowd is going to be like fucking on him.
Oh yeah.
I know it'll never happen, but I want Pestock to go over. I want Baron Corbin to be able to say he beat Kurt Angle and Josh Barnett.
I think he might. I think Barnett would let Pestock go over. I do. I actually think the way that it's being presented, there's a good chance that Tom Pestock is going to win. Like,
especially because if they do that, if they beat Barnett here, Barnett can still say he's undefeated or whatever. He's not undefeated, but you know what I mean. He's still, the guy on the Bloodsport shows.
Right.
But this is a Bloodsport match on a GCW show.
Right. Yeah. So come back to my place. Come back to Bloodsport. We'll do the rematch.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It's perfect.
Come to Mania weekend, and I'll fucking stick my fist up your dick hole and whatever else.
Right. Yeah. No. Of course. Yeah. It's really exciting though because I've really liked Baron Corbin since the NXT days. Like I've talked about it here and there, but I was doing podcasts back then reviewing NXT. Like I liked him from the beginning, and he's also a Golden Glove boxer. He's a high level, judoka. Like it's not like he's just some fucking slub coming off the streets. That's the part that people don't get. They're like, "Oh, happy! It's so funny. It's Happy Corbin." It's like, nah, man. This guy's legit. He's a fucking NFL. He was a drafted NFL player. Yeah.
Was it him? Was it him who got in Vince's face about CTE?
There was a story about that. I don't know it completely, but yes. So this is this is a serious guy. This is not a joke. He's not like
Baron Corbin. Historical footnote though. A friend of mine once tweeted back when Baron Corbin had hair. He tweeted a picture of Baron Corbin's hair and said that it looked like the Venom symbiote trying to take over someone by the head first. The next week, Baron Corbin had a shaved head. Right. So I like to think that my friend hurt his feelings really badly.
Of course. He's very online like that, so I could definitely see that. For sure.
Anyway, that match.
Baron Corbin is also a really good TikTok follow. He's always cooking.
Oh, well, maybe not after this week.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I've seen
that's true.
I've seen what you're talking about, yeah.
And then I guess any guesses for Matt Cardona's mystery opponent? Is it Jericho again?
I hope not.
Yeah, me too.
No.
I mean, it's like when Jericho came to PWG, and it's just kind of like, go do your fucking thing. Like, you've got a TV show. Who cares?
It feels like the dad that comes downstairs during the house party. He's like, "Oh, it's cool you guys drinking here."
Yeah. If it was BK or even Big Bill, that would be kind of sick. But otherwise, I don't know. Like, what's the
I'm just
story
trying to think of who hasn't been.
Yeah.
Because the story that Cardona gave is just that he had 8 opponents fall through, which who knows,
right.
What the fuck he's talking about there. He definitely hasn't been a huge presence in the second half of the year in GCW. I assume it's because he costs a lot of money.
Right.
And if they're running, Salt Lake City, it doesn't make sense to pay the Matt Cardona tax. I don't know, like, he's been coming out there and basically just like bumming around and, not doing anything particularly important. I don't even know if he's still technically the general manager.
Do you have maybe Broski Jimmy comes and turns on him?
Actually, that would be, the problem with that is just that they wouldn't have set it up.
Yeah, I would say there's nothing leading to that,
Like,
but I just saw that Jimmy doesn't have a match either.
It might be, he has Broski Jimmy come out and like lay down for him and they do a finger poke of doom and then someone else comes out.
Yeah.
But I would think that they got to do the work. Brett knows that he has to do the work of like Matt has to abuse Jimmy to the point that like at anniversary weekend, the different boy comes back.
Right.
All right. So what are the chances that we can get Sam to watch this show? Come back next week, break it down match by match.
Oh wow.
0.
I'm thinking
No.
0.2%.
Ain't happening. I just took a little cat nap during the GCW hour. Ain't happening, brother.
Everyone gets on the Discord and says, show of the decade. You're just not going to watch it.
If they say that, I'll take as long as it took to get to Revolutions.
What if Matt Cardona's, mystery opponent is Bobby Flacco?
Well, then we're...
that'd be
no, where's Juicy on this card? Sorry, where's Juicy?
It's a big...
Did Brett not book Juicy? Did Brett not book Juicy? Is Brett fucking kidding
maybe
me?
maybe Juicy just big time in Brett. Maybe Juicy says...
Oh, no, he's working AEW shows. Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense.
He found room for Griffin McCoy, but couldn't get Juicy on here.
Yeah, Griffin McCoy and Kerry Morton are just like, they're trying to do like an Edge and Christian type thing where they're just the two most annoying human beings on the planet. And they're succeeding, but not in the way that they want.
I'm pretty anti Griffin McCoy most of my life. What about the steel cage match with the dumbest storyline ever? This show is going to be like 4 hours long.
Oh yeah, I mean,
they got to set that cage up.
All of GCW shows are. It's gonna be like 5 hours long, dude. But
does anyone else have anything they want to say about GCW before we wrap it up?
To everyone in the Discord, you got to watch this shit. I'm gonna make an event on the fucking thing so that it tells everyone that it's happening.
Brett,
people are like, no, I'm busy. I have to watch a Noah match. I have to watch a fucking, I have to watch some fucking god awful piece of shit. And it's like, no, watch this god awful piece of shit, you moron.
Yeah. Watch it like the stuff that's happening now, so you can be mad at someone who might
this show has
on Twitter. Yeah.
Like this show has Baron Corbin doing a worked shoot with Josh Barnett. And you would rather watch Tomohiro Ishii going a half-hour draw with Gabe Kidd that you're going to hate, and yet you still watched a half hour of it. Like, just fucking watch this cool show full of freak shows. They're going to throw Maki Ito off of a ladder to her death, and you're going to miss it. She's going to do the fucking flying big head off of a ladder, and she's going to crack her fucking skull open like Humpty Dumpty. And you're going to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs going like, I wonder what Micah is doing right now.
No. Actually, I always think that, but...
She is probably drinking another 3 pounds of beer.
I love Micah so much.
This show is Sunday night, and I will be traveling back from North Carolina, so I won't actually watch it live, but...
That's good. You can watch it. You can just watch it when you get home as the sun's coming up.
Smart.
Eating breakfast, watching GCW.
Maybe I'll gather the whole family around.
Yeah.
Let's do it on a Discord chat.
Abuse.
Dan, hit me up.
Kids, it's time you learned about Megan Bain.
Exactly.
I feel confident.
Megan Bain versus her ring gears top.
That is the big top done and done.
God bless.
There it is.
But we can't. That went long, but we can't skip Q&AR.
I have many questions
here.
With the T.
With the T. With the silent T.
This This is TNAR. We might need to
real
workshop.
G's. Real G's move in silence. Yeah.
Let's see. Well, one of the first questions is Sam wants to know what the R stands for. Logan says, "Oh God, I hate the whole Discord. How much fish could Bobby Fish fry if Bobby Fish could fry fish?" I don't even think that's worth a response.
Pass.
6 seconds,
Okay.
bitch.
Chris is complaining about some bullshit. All right, here's this one just for Tim from Simon. Do you
Mhm.
think it would feel good to be microwaved for even like half a second, or no?
Yes. 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 I know that it wouldn't. I know that it's bad. I know that it would probably alter my genes. But yes. Yes, I want it. And
You are
as I said,
95% water. A microwave
Yeah.
would
I
destroy
know
that.
it would kill me. I know. But even like I said to Simon in the chat,
There are people
I'm
out
ready
there who
for
would rather
poultry.
microwave themselves than watch a GCW show.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling
I'm
me.
ready.
A bunch
For
of the
poultry.
liberals microwave themselves by getting the vaccine. Next question: Not Another Teen Movie or American Pie? Tim?
Teen movie, no question, hands down, best movie. One of the best movies. Not Another Teen Movie is phenomenal.
Okay, that's
It's
also
one
my
of the
vote,
best
but I
movies,
would
yeah.
not call it one of the best movies.
One of the best movies ever.
An
Even
American
better
classic.
than Jumps Are Full of Gristles.
So, tell us about your latest shipment of DVDs, Tim.
I'm not a movie guy. That's why I said don't do movie conversation. But I did like Cole's question there because I was into it because
Oh,
I
that's
am
cool. Yeah, good.
strongly a big Not Another Teen Movie fan. I love that film, and it's also like Jamie Presley, one of her first films. She's incredibly attractive. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Pat? Not
I
Another Teen
cannot
Movie or
remember
American
either
Pie?
movie very well. I'm going to say American Pie just to be difficult.
All right, I respect that.
I'll go Not Another Teen Movie. So 3-1.
We got a lot of people talking about movies, which is what Sam or what Tim doesn't want.
Yeah, you guys can talk about movies if you want.
Okay, this is asking for, I guess, what's everyone's favorite Michael Mann movie from Eamon?
Michael Mann movie. That's a good question.
I'm
Sam,
gonna
you got an answer?
have to go with Last of the Mohicans just because of it's like the best movie for making puns off of the title. It's also very popular, but it's like the last of the Mo's tweaking, the last of the bros streaking. You know, there's a lot of room
No,
to play around with the title.
I sent to the other guys a list of possible episode titles, which were just me and my friends riffing on AEW wrestlers' names. And I just need to put this out there in the world so that they can experience Claudio Nasty Holy.
There we
That was
go.
the best
See
one
what
you
I'm talking
sent.
about?
I didn't like
That
that.
was the peak. Anyway, my favorite is probably Heat. I think that Heat
That's
is a
good.
really good movie.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I think
I think
he's
I
the
would-
answer.
The
what's
movies that
crazy
I've
is
actually seen, I would go Miami Vice, but I get what you're saying.
What's crazy with Miami Vice is the theatrical version is so much better than the version that they put out, like the director's cut. Like the director's cut, I like so much less. But I think the Miami Vice theatrical version only came out on like the first DVD issue, so we would have to rely on Logan to, like know if it's still good.
So Dan, you were here last time. Remember how I said I'd never seen a Francis Ford Coppola movie?
Yes.
So what if I said that again, but for Michael Mann?
I just think.
Okay, perfect. This is perfect. Perfect. Okay,
All right, Sam.
Sam,
The ones
I have to ask.
to start with are Public Enemies and Black Hat.
Sam, have you
What's up?
seen any Sofia Coppola films?
Yes.
Sophia
like-
Coppola is a great way of saying her name.
I enjoy
That's a
the
wrestling
Bling
name.
Ring for sure.
Sam,
We're looking. We're just verifying some things.
She did Lost in Translation.
It's gonna be a no. It's gonna be a no.
Did Marie Antoinette.
We got nothing.
No.
We got nothing.
Okay. So
But-
maybe we just
you've
don't
seen every
talk about
goddamn
movies
movie
on this podcast.
Yeah,
Movie
you've
on
seen
what?
every goddamn movie on Shudder, I'm pretty sure.
Well, Shudder's a good streaming service.
Sure. How many Terrifier films have you seen, Sam?
I've only seen 2. I've not seen 3.
Okay.
Well,
Also,
I've seen
Dan
three.
is the Terrifier freak on the podcast.
I'm the Terrifier
actually.
guy here. Calm down.
I actually think it's not very good.
I love those
Okay.
movies.
That's fair. My point is though that like Dan's allowed to see all the Terrifier films because he's also seen all of the Sofia Coppola films. Right? You get what I'm saying? Like he's doing extra credit when he's watching
Yeah,
Terrifier.
it's like you can watch GCW if you've seen 90s All Japan.
Right.
Which
No, I only watch the horror shit.
I'm gonna blow up the whole here. I don't like all 90s All Japan women that much. I don't like 90s All Japan that much. I'm not a Kings Road guy.
That's fair. I'm not gonna hate on you for that.
No, but we're gonna get. This is the part where Steph is gonna fucking have something to say on the VP
That's
updates
fine.
if he's made it through all 19 hours of this fucking podcast.
It's you know what?
Lord.
It's Steph's job to judge me. That's he was put on this earth to judge me unfairly, and it's my job to just to bear that cross. I'm like Jesus in that way. Was there any other
Also,
questions on
Black.
I'm going to skip the other movie questions because there's no way Sam's watching Charlie Kaufman. So
That's only it's Connected. Great movie.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That's
But-
good. It's good. Yeah.
I'm going to end with this question. Where'd it go? I don't remember who said it, but Eamon again. What's everyone's favorite power bomb?
Thank you. It's a good one.
Sid in the War Games match when he almost killed Brian Pillman and then he did it
Yeah,
again.
good. That's a good one.
I would just go with Vader's power
Sam?
bomb.
Okay. Not the Vader bomb.
Not
Which
the
is
Vader
not-
bomb, which is actually
not a power bomb.
not power bomb at all.
Yeah. Also, not the Nader bomb, which is the leg capture German suplex that Daniel Makabe would do. That I always told him he should call the Nader bomb, because people would say it was a seatbelt suplex, and Ralph Nader was the person who passed the law to get seatbelts in cars in America. So I always said it should be called the Nader bomb. Refused to call it that, but also not a power bomb.
Why not
technically
the
German
Vader Plex?
Because just it doesn't have the same connotation as it's a playoff of the Nader bomb.
Do you guys remember
Vader
I think
bomb,
it was
Nader bomb,
Henry's
anyway.
last match where he basically made Okada Okada had to power bomb himself off of Henry's
Yes,
body.
yes. Yeah, it was really
That was
good.
sick.
That
Dan,
makes me think my favorite power bombs is everyone that tried to power bomb Billy Kidman
Oh
Or-
yeah.
okay.
or Brock Lesnar against Hardcore Holly.
That's a good one. Yes.
I just watched a
My-
whole 25-minute video about that. Stevie Richards going through that whole thing, drawing lines all over it.
Mine is the blonde bombshell. I don't think there's any question. Best power bomb, blonde bombshell. Coolest guy to do it. Every time he did it was always sick. So yeah, Chris Candido, no gimmicks needed. Blonde bombshell. That's the best power bomb.
The original namesake of the Jacob, I think. Maybe I'm making that up.
Yeah. No, that is true.
Okay. And he didn't murder anyone like Shane Shamrock, as far as I know.
Oh no.
Wait, Shane Shamrock did he murder anyone or he tried to murder someone?
Tried to.
He tried to. He tried,
He's
he
a
tried to
failure
murder
at that
his
as well.
girlfriend when the baby was in the room.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. I got it down now. Okay. Well, has anyone got anything else in this before this episode's over?
Yeah, just apologies to everyone who made it through to the end.
I guess listen to
Next week,
QTR, but
I would say next week we won't talk about GCW as much, but sorry, bitch.
Yeah.
Next week we're
Hammerstein.
talking about GCW.
at least we're not talking about JCW as much. Less Juggalo shit happening.
God
Though
bless.
Violent J is on the Hammerstein show.
Violent J's on. I keep waiting for Lunacy to come back and be good, but I don't know. Violent J.
What a combo that would be.
Or at least be watchable. I just the JCW shows where it's just like an indie show. Violent J, you can do better than that.
Oh, I don't know if anyone followed the drama of Dylan Hines he was the guy that runs the shows in Middle Ohio. He was doing Shane Douglas and Two Cold Scorpio versus the Rock and Roll Express, and he advertised it for the NWA tag team titles.
Yeah,
because
I saw
he was bringing back the old Davy Crockett ones.
Yeah, I saw a clip of the post match on that, but I was not following the drama. I did find it very funny though.
Actually, one thing that people need to see is, I think it was on the Rochester GCW show, is they do the fucking Fry Takayama bit with Effie and Alley Catch. And it is the funniest goddamn strike exchange you'll ever see outside of an NXT match.
Oh man! But I just wanted to update people because he stopped calling it the NWA Championship and started calling it the Jim Crockett Tag Team Championship. But then I guess Billy Corgan just said, "Nah, fuck you," and pulled every NWA guy off there, like even like Kerry Morton,
Nice.
Violent J, and I just love wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess listen to QNTR. But if you made it this far in this show and you're not listening to that, that's fucking wild.
Yeah, sorry.
Sam, you got anything?
Oh, I have something to plug.
Oh,
Death of the Universe. Have you guys heard of this? I do another podcast. I talk about politics. Dan, you're over there in the Discord for Heat Death of the Universe. Check it out. It's somehow we're able to talk about things that are more fucked up and sad than professional wrestling over there. So check it out. If your problem with the stuff you've heard me talking about on here is it's not fucked up and sad enough, go check out Heat Death of the Universe and get into that real fucking depressing shit.
I've been given some terrible news. First off, I learned earlier this week that the bastards at the Professional Fight League are putting an end to Bellator. Number one problem. Secondly, they're just going to a tournament format, getting rid of the seasons, which is just the Bellator format from the original. What are we doing here? This is so ass backwards.
Well, you got to keep the PFL name.
It's so valuable. Unbelievably valuable. The number 2 MMA promotion in the world, and the margins between this and the UFC really razor thin. They would have you believe. Those schmucks. God damn it.
Did you see that they pretended to release Patricio Pitbull, but then he said on Twitter, they released me, but they didn't waive the matching clause? He's like, so thanks for publicly acting like you're such a great guy, but you still have matching rights on me.
That's okay. That's very good. That's very good.
I can't remember whoever the promoter of PFL is had like a big thing like, we graciously release him. He's free to go wherever he wants. And he's like, well, not exactly.
Not quite. Not quite.
That's pretty good.
Oh my God.
That feels like the end of the show.
All right.
All right. I just want everyone who listens to remember that that one tweet that Melissa Santos put out about how yummy Brian Cage's penis is, and think about that during the current Brian Cage push in AEW. Thank you. God bless.